himself a crossover.
Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
All right, time for the crossover. It's powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. First of all, thank you very much for accommodating our guests.
I mean,
you got a little late start.
Well, no, I mean
it's less work for us.
It's been longer before. It's been.
we did have one year where it went about 90 minutes.
Oh my god!
Yeah, well, there were a lot of stories being told, and
I was sitting out. This is probably a couple of years ago. I was sitting out in the lobby. I'm like, you know what? I'm enjoying this. You keep going.
Yeah.
Wait, you didn't go to break or anything? Like at the top of the hour, we didn't do like an ID?
No.
What?
Well, because there
we're
were guys
stricter to the clock now.
Guys
believe it or
just
not.
telling
we hit it
stories.
eventually.
Yeah,
we hit it eventually.
As long as we get 24 IDs out in a day, we're
Exactly.
You know, and JR and Mike are good storytellers, and so they told a lot of stories. And then,
Excellent.
You know, Rick Upchurch, who he didn't come in studio because he's a Bronco, and we don't want to allow that. He also is a fantastic storyteller.
Oh yeah, just get those guys going.
Yeah, that was my great first jet experience.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for. And how about Michael throwing all this stuff together and everything? He's everywhere over the last couple days.
He is. They are so lucky to have Michael running the Jet Award.
What's for dinner tonight?
I can text.
I think it's the Norm at Baxter Arena.
Yesterday they had a pretty good. So they
Chicken
had
tendies?
salmon. No, they had salmon. They had salmon, and then they had this lemon chicken verblanc.
Nachos,
and then they had mac and cheese,
like Truth Magnum.
Is that what nachos are now assigned to? Truth Magnum
for me, yeah.
Baxter,
at Baxter
yeah.
Arena.
Yeah,
Michael
Baxter
Severe.
Arena.
Hey, what's for dinner tonight?
Just don't
I
bother
could have
Michael.
done that.
Yeah.
I didn't text him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so
No.
most places so the big venues in town that you go to events for, down at the Chai, Embassy Suites, Baxter Arena has quite a few of these events. You're going to get your mashed potatoes.
Sure.
You're going to get your mixed greens.
Sure.
You're going to get your chicken, or you're going to get a piece of steak.
Mhm.
You bet.
You're going to have your
hope it's
salad when
steak.
you get there.
There's going to be a bun, a roll.
and a roll, and then there's going to be a piece of cheesecake or a piece of pie or a cake that's going to be.
Oh my god, the cheesecake yesterday. Good lord!
I didn't know if because Michael was doing this that they went a little higher than that.
No, I did ask Michael. I go, I know you didn't pick the catering because there's no Louisiana anything here. There's no.
He's an everything guy though. You know, he's got everything.
I'm going to tell you something right now. If the word Creole is on a menu, Michael Severe is ordering that item. Okay,
probably.
That's why I love Jazz. He was one of the saddest guys when Jazz closed downtown. I thought Michael wasn't going to make it. I thought he was going to move to Alaska immediately.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, because they
Are
have
you sure?
they have so much New Orleans food in Alaska.
Hey, I liked that Jazz was there. I liked that Jazz was there. I miss Jazz being there.
Is it like the Choco Taco?
You missed their commercials.
I miss Jazz being there. That's all.
Has anything moved into that spot?
I don't,
because that was a large
there's something
restaurant
over there. There's something on that corner. What is it? Let's go to the map.
It was a very sad day when that came out. Just like Johnny Sortino's.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
60 years. Now, the owners, I imagine they're in their 70s. You know what affected Johnny Sortino's? COVID.
Well,
many things.
Yeah.
But
it's a restaurant. Yeah.
Well, but from this standpoint I don't think you could make a living. They only are open 5 days a week, and they're only open 11 to 6 because they have some staffing issues.
Somebody said that.
Yeah.
The day that it, like in the YouTube chat, that day, the day that they announced it, and I'm like, really? They're only open till 6?
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
That is
So
crazy.
of course COVID impacted them, and then they didn't have staff. Like they were one of the places in Omaha that the same. You could go 5 years without going in that restaurant, and the same people would still be working there.
Same thing, baby.
So then they were closing at 6. Well, if you want a pizza, you get off work at 5.
Yeah.
Like hey, man, I'll be there at 6:30, 7 o'clock to have dinner, and Johnny Sortino's was closed.
I did a project on that where actually the service industry really suffered from the fact that there weren't as many like part-time people who wanted to do part-time work anymore. Like part-time work in the service industry was massive, and then after COVID, less and less people were like, "Man, I don't really want to do that."
Yeah, because they could just make TikToks.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Your generation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look at me
have-
like it's my
Hey,
fault. All right,
they have
don't look at me like it's
influencers.
my fault.
There are
Right.
so many, like, are you getting the algorithm? There are so many like local food influencers in this town on TikTok.
I know. Yeah, there are a lot
No,
of
the
them.
whole. I went to this restaurant at this town, and it was incredible.
No, but
you
there's
got to order
well,
this item.
There's a lot of them here in Omaha. There's a lot.
North, south, east, west.
Oh, this is a big
Well,
part.
you know, if you are so
Please
like
narrow it down to 3.
3.
I just want 3
Influencers?
Food, 3
Oh,
food
that's
influencers.
I can give you because I favorite them. But there is like if you like today, if you left the show and you drove to Crumble and you got this week's Crumble cookies,
Yeah.
and you sat in your car and did a video,
Yeah.
Crumble Cookie is going to send you $100.
Yeah. It'd be me.
What?
And it would get 1 million views
Mhm.
and 500,000 likes. And it would just be me eating a cookie.
And they're going to
You're
send
an influencer.
and if and I think it's a minimum of 1,000 views on TikTok, you're going to get $100.
I don't think that's right.
Is that an actual thing?
I feel
Yes,
low.
it is. So and the only reason I know this is because 2 people got fired at a local Crumble, and so they revealed why. Because
Oh.
like they were responding to questions, like where you put the question up in the corner.
Mhm.
Why are there so many people that do Crumble reviews? And they're like, because you make $100.
Those cookies have so many calories. They are like
big cookie?
Well, yeah, it's a big cookie.
Big cookie.
I'm just saying.
That's
I'm
why you
just
go to
saying.
Insomnia
Big
Cookies.
cookie.
I don't eat cookies.
You don't eat cookies.
Kookaburra.
I don't eat cookies
Why not?
because I like to be hot.
I don't know what
I'm
that
kidding.
means.
I'm just I used to love
But
cookies.
do you really not eat cookies?
I stay away from them
Hmm.
because I love cookies.
There's gonna be some cookies.
there was a point in my life
Cookies?
where
Did you get a
I
cookie at a banquet?
there was a point in my life where I was having a full thing of Oreos like literally every 4 to 5 days.
I could see that.
Like I was housing full, and it got to the point where it was a problem. Like it was like a major
So
problem.
you
in
have
my
to
life.
restrain yourself from the cookies.
Yes,
It's not that you dislike cookies.
Mhm.
It's the
No, I love
you love cookies.
Did
cookies.
you eat the
Yeah.
whole Oreo or just leave out the filling and leave it in the box?
I'm gonna tell you something right now. I was just eating them. I was just tossing them in. I was just going down the line.
Any milk?
No, nothing. I was just having like a glass of water just to like wash
Just
it out and then
raw
keep going.
dog and Oreo.
That's
Yes.
kind of what I do with Girl Scout cookies, and then I feel
Mhm.
bad because
Yep.
it's like $40 for a sleeve of them, and I'm like, I
I-
don't think that I should be eating all of these
I-
cookies. This is like
They
gold.
go down so easy.
know.
No
Yeah.
joke. I have housed a double stuff Oreo like bag in one full day.
That's crazy. Yeah, I saw recently they have Oreo like chips. You know how they do the pretzel chips?
Yeah.
They have like those in
Oh.
Oreo
Oh.
form.
Do you know what's killing me right now? The Reese's peanut butter like snack mix, like that bag, and it's like Chex Mix, but it's Reese's peanut butter
Oh,
stuff.
I don't think I've seen
And
that.
so you can get like it's popcorn, pretzels, peanut butter cups. Like it's like oh my god, it's to die for. It is absolutely
I
incredible.
don't think I've seen that. Interesting. That's very interesting.
But no, I stay away from cookies because I can't relapse. If I relapse, I'm gonna
You're done. You're fatty.
exactly. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to the weight I tried so hard to not be at anymore.
Hmm.
Like it's.
Were
I'm telling
were you a fatty?
I was 215 pounds in November of 2023. Like there are some. There
How
are
tall are you?
5'10", and I weigh
So you're
182 pounds.
So 5'10", so you're 5'9".
I am.
math
I'm
here?
actually closer to 5'11".
Nobody's 5'10".
No,
you
no,
know
no.
that?
No, nobody's 5'11". You got it wrong. Nobody's 5'11". A lot of guys
Ooh.
are 5'10". Because if you're 5'11", then you're 6 foot. Nobody's 5'11". A lot of guys are 5'10". 5'10" is like the most average height.
But if you say you're 5'10", you're probably 5'9".
No, I can't say I'm 5'11" because I'm 5'10" and a half. So I say I'm 5'10".
Okay, why don't you just say you're 6 foot?
Because I'm clearly not 6 foot. Unless I wear my tan Air Force Ones,
Oh,
in which I do get enough lift to get to 6 feet.
gotcha.
So there you go.
John emails in on the Equitable Bank inbox.
Hi, John.
Imagine that. The guy with the gambling problem can't control himself around cookies.
Which is why I removed myself Okay, why I removed myself from the area,
Yeah.
right? Because I know that, hey, this is bad. This is not good for me. And so, look, there's a lesson. When I know that something is detrimental to my dismay, I completely remove myself from that harm. I'm definitely not currently holding 6 tickets from Horseshoe Casino on my
Not at
Masters
all.
bets right now.
You're literally holding them in your hands. Yeah.
I'm fidgeting them with
That's a
them.
lot of stuff. So what do you got?
All right,
Yeah,
let's
what do you
do
got
it.
in there? Oh, Matt's big board.
With Matt's big board. Here we go.
Morikawa House.
I'm gonna toss it to you, Josh, if you could display it for everybody.
ZoneTV.live.
There you go.
That's a big board.
We got Kyle Morikawa to win plus 1,600. Then we have Rory McIlroy to win plus 650. Then we have my favorite play of the entire tournament, Shane Lowry, to be in the top 5. I believe I got that at 650.
That's what AB told us to bet.
Then I have Robert McIntyre to finish in the top 5 plus 850. Will Zalatoris to finish in the top 10 plus 360. And our boy, Sergio Garcia, top 10 finish plus 450.
Sergio.
Are you buying poster board every day?
You
You got a stack?
we
Did
are
you just
not-
buy a pallet?
We're not going to talk about where I get my poster boards, but I got poster boards.
Okay.
What do you mean?
I have poster boards.
So you're stealing poster board from somewhere
Yeah.
or someone,
Who are you getting?
which
that
is
from?
fine. I don't care.
Who's your guy?
I just got a guy. I got a
He's got
poster
a, he's
board.
got a local guy.
Fell off a
I got
truck.
I got a local guy. I got a local poster board guy.
Okay.
Have you guys seen what happened at Wrigley Field the other night with the hot dog guy and gal?
No.
So
No.
you know how
What is this?
people are smart and they figured out
No,
if you're
I
at a
don't know how
baseball
people are
game and
smart.
you're sitting like behind a batter, you're going to be on TV,
Sure.
Yes.
like a left or right hand.
Mhm.
So
Oh no.
did you look it up?
Yes. Oh no.
So what happened at the Cubs Rangers game the other night is just to the left of the Cubs dugout, which is right in the viewing angle when there is
Oh,
a
get outta
right-handed batter.
here.
Yeah, on deck. It's in the on deck
Yeah,
circle, I
get-
think. Yeah.
These two idiots.
So there is a man and a woman, by the way, not in a relationship.
Oh,
They-
they just mutually agreed to this.
They
It's like a
they-
kiss cam.
Yeah, they shared a hot dog between themselves.
So I just got a text from my great friend
Nah.
who just sent me that picture and said, "Hey guys, this is my boss's cousin."
Wow.
Wow.
They maintain they didn't know each other before today, and there might be a significant other at home who's
Oh
annoyed.
my Lord. Are
Whoa.
you kidding me?
Would you lady in the tramp a hot dog with a lady if you had a wife?
Hell no. That is
No.
grounds for divorce. That is
Would
that
you
is-
lady in the tramp a hot dog with anyone, period?
if you're willing to eat a hot dog on TV with another woman, what
I
aren't you
would.
willing to do?
You would lady in the tramp a hot dog?
I would with like somebody you're on a date with.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, I do that.
Yeah. Now here's what I
That's-
first thought
that's
when I
done and
saw
dusted.
this. I thought they were a new morning radio show in Chicago.
Yeah.
So they
Be
would
good
become
marketing.
viral and
Yeah.
people would talk about them.
Oh,
Or
that,
they-
okay. That
Or they have a brand they're promoting that's
Uh-huh.
going to come out.
I don't
Uh,
think that's Brooke and Jubal. I don't
No.
think
No.
they're.
There was
I don't think that's Waddle and
All right,
Sylvie doing
so they
that.
went on the score.
Of course, they went on the score. I mean, that's
best
right up-
sports radio station in
Yeah,
Chicago.
it's a great radio station, Matt.
The best. They win awards.
Number one.
They have
Right.
the Cubs.
Number
that's-
one.
Yeah, that's right up their alley.
I really miss Parkins. He's
What?
That guy is great.
Danny Parkins.
Oh,
Danny Parkins.
Hey, you could call me Burnsy, or you can, but you can't call me Bernstein. You
So,
don't know me like that.
Tristan and Robbie, so you guys don't know each other at all? No, Tristan replied, quote, I had 3 hot dogs. She told me she had 4. And I was like, you know what? I can't eat another whole one. I could probably split one.
But then why
though.
do you have to tramp it? You can just take a bite of the other half.
I don't actually I actually didn't know that this was going to go viral. So my
Oh,
boyfriend,
yeah.
shut
my
up.
boyfriend at home is going to be pretty upset about it.
Yeah,
I have a
no
long-standing boyfriend. That was just a friendly hot dog at the friendly confines.
no.
I think that's the line that the woman at the Metrodome that was an Iowa fan that got trashed and went into the bathroom and met a Minnesota fan.
Mhm.
I think that's the line that she used.
That's just a friendly hot dog.
I heard that's what that girl at Old Miss did with her boyfriend's dad, and then it
Oh,
kind of
hey!
whoa! No,
It's-
we don't want to
it's
get sued.
It spiraled out of control.
We
and
don't-
The rumor grew bigger. and
That
then-
was the actual thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then Pat McAfee got a hold of it.
He addressed it last night.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, apparently they're going to fix it.
They're
that
gonna
what-
fix it.
They're
that
gonna
what-
kill that girl from Ole Miss.
Well, he's just gonna give her money like the guys who make a field goal.
No,
That's-
no.
I think that's
She's
the
gonna
plan.
have to kick a field goal. And if she makes a field goal, yeah.
Hey,
She
I'll be
said
down
that-
in Oxford
I
in the
think
fall.
that's what Bill Clinton said. That was
So-
a friendly hot dog.
ESPN told him not to address it until
Sure.
last night at his
At-
event.
okay.
No, he addressed it.
not
obviously.
not
So
an
he said,
ESPN
he
event.
said sometimes things just spiral, and he goes, "We're going to make it right with her."
I saw a lot of clips from that last night. I didn't see that one.
I did.
Well, I was waiting for Aaron Rodgers. It made sense.
Oh yeah, not,
Aaron Rodgers
not ESPN.
was going to be on his show, and
and I'll
in
tell you that I'm
Pittsburgh,
coming to Pittsburgh.
And,
Oh wow, that actually would have made
And
sense.
so McAfee, like an hour before, said, "Nah, he's not going to be here."
How do you feel if you're Tristan's boyfriend?
Pissed.
Well,
Okay, they look really friendly.
She needs to make it right.
well. There's no way that both of them are not hammered, right? That they've been.
It doesn't matter.
It's a
Pre-gaming?
Cubs game.
Well, sometimes you could use
Well,
that as a excuse.
They are in the 1914 club, and so it is pretty accessible to get the drinks that you may or may not
Yeah,
want.
why is the boyfriend not there?
She's probably with her girlfriends.
But there was no one sitting.
No,
by
there
him.
was nobody sitting next to her. No, they were just.
Can you
His-
imagine if they were doing the 9 and 9 challenge?
And they had the lady in the tramp all night.
By the way, the other night at the K, some guy has started the Cole Reagan's challenge.
I saw this.
What
he
is-
ate 11 hot dogs.
However many strikeouts he has.
Yeah.
Oh,
Have you guys done the 999 before?
No, I'm not interested.
I have.
I bet you have.
I did it. There's a couple pretty infamous pictures from that day of me doing it.
Where'd you do it?
At my buddy's house. It was a Tampa Bay Rays versus Kansas City Royals game,
Oh,
and
you got to do it at the ballpark.
my buddy was like, "I have hot dogs and I have beers." I go, "I'll do it right now," and I did it.
Wow,
And there are some pretty like
I
pictures.
don't think you
that
can do it at home. That's a ballpark thing.
yeah.
I agree.
I
You got to
got
put it all on the line.
it's about spending the money.
I gotta
Yes,
find.
it's
standing in
about
line.
waiting in line. Yep.
Because if you're gonna yak,
I did not yak.
but if you're going to, it's in public, and
There-
that's the danger.
There's a lot more sodium in the ballpark foods than at
There,
home.
there is a pic where it was during this time where I was 215 pounds. That it's just that honestly, that picture from that day was my moment where I was like, you know what?
Made you want to change.
I gotta fix this.
Charles
I
on
have to.
YouTube says, "Huge surprise! The guy with an Oreo problem has done the 9-inning challenge."
See, now I'm not only now am I not a degenerate, but I'm also a fatty in the eyes of people.
Hey, we don't like the D word.
Degenerate?
That's right.
Okay.
Can't
I'll
use
stop
that
saying it.
word.
yeah, we don't say that.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't care.
Okay.
I didn't mean to grind the show to a halt.
Yeah, you did, Josh. Nice
Just trying to be helpful.
guy in the suit over there.
Yeah,
Big boss man with the
that's
suit.
right.
He's like, you got.
You guys should start wearing suits to the office.
You look like Boss Baby.
Stephen Ashworth.
Yeah, I know. With the shaved head, you do look like the Alec Baldwin
What are you looking at, Connor?
character.
You look like the
Who you looking
coach of Iowa Western.
Scott
he's
Stromeyer?
showing up to media days.
I don't. Does Stroh own a suit?
He does own a suit. I've seen him wear it. I'll probably see him wear it tonight as well. Probably the same one.
So, are you wearing a lapel pin tonight?
I don't wear lapel pins. I don't think I own a lapel pin.
Michael should do
Right.
lapel pins as gifts
Oh.
for the Jet
Oh.
Award.
I have the
Uh,
menu.
That's
Now
a free one.
you do know, like when March Madness, they give all of the coaches
Uh-huh.
the nice March Madness lapel pin
Fantastic.
because it's also their pass to get on the floor.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, clever.
So they, because they're not wearing a media pass,
Sure.
and you got security that's probably never seen them before.
and they're just wearing a quarter zip, so it's
Yeah.
not like, oh, that guy's wearing
Yeah.
a suit.
Yeah.
He can go on the court.
Would you like to know tonight's menu? Sure, at the Jet Award.
Kind of would actually.
It'll be chicken piccata.
Of
will
course.
will be
Baxter
served.
Arena staple.
Will be served tonight. The sides will be potatoes and green beans, and then there's also a salad when you sit down.
Yeah.
Desserts will be at the table, unknown at this point. What the
Cookies.
desserts will
TBD.
be. I hope, dude. I can't. You will see me like start shaking at the table if it's cookies.
I hope it's cookies.
Should we? Are we missing something that we might need to bring our own? Like what you
Dorothy
go to,
Lynch.
You go to yeah. Hey, I only use this. You pull it out of your coat.
Greatest line that Bill Moose ever had. It's like I carry around a fifth of Dorothy Lynch with me. I was like, interesting that you used that nomenclature.
My dad used to carry a bottle of A1 sauce when he went to steakhouses because sometimes he would go to too fancy of steakhouses and they didn't have A1. So he'd be like, he had a little bottle of A1 he'd bring with him.
It's a wild move. No, I think they got plenty of dressing boats that get passed around the table.
Well, I'll tell you something right now. The dressing yesterday at the little meet and greet, they had some elite dressings. Caesar, vinaigrettes, ranch, the blue cheese. I mean, I had
normal.
like no. But they tasted good. Like it was a good tasting lineup. You know, there was a good tasting lineup of standard dressings.
We are down one guest at our table.
Oh no,
who's not showing?
She stepped down earlier this week as the Creighton volleyball coach. She was going to be our guest.
Well, she's not coming.
No,
that's a damn shame.
She still could. She knows that, right?
She's I just think
she's still welcome.
I think she's probably just doesn't want to have people sitting at a table with media guys.
That's probably smart.
She's going to be locked into the Love quarterfinals tonight.
There you go.
Are they tonight?
They are tonight.
Well, have they even announced
No.
has Love?
We got to clear out.
Hey,
when you get up and leave, take the table with you.
We got to make the call.
They tell you got to put your chairs away. Like you see everybody breaking down tables and chairs.
Hey, we need everybody to stack 2 chairs before they leave.
Do your part. Do your part, everyone.
Lexi's going to be pissed if you don't hurry it up.
Isn't that wild? Like one of the more popular volleyball players ever at Nebraska played in this city, pro volleyball, and was not promoted much.
No,
seems like an odd choice by the league.
Maybe that's why you hire somebody like Kirsten to help the league.
She's forced to sell autographs on the player's trunk constantly. But that's what she's doing.
That is true.
Every sock she's ever worn is on that website. I'm sure being bought by young girls who adore her and not creepy old men who want her socks.
Player's trunk.
Oh, you don't know about this? This is where all these athletes, once they transfer or they graduate, they have all this gear, and so they just end up selling it all.
It's great.
So you can buy a bunch of gear from a bunch of different athletes.
Team issued quarter zip for like $50. Shoes.
Have you ever shopped?
I probably go on there once a week. I've never actually
once
bought
a week.
I've never bought anything.
Really? Wow.
Because you need the player size to match yours and the team.
This is
I don't want a Minnesota zip up.
This is also kind of like this is an older hockey thing. So hockey has done this for years now, where you have guys who, because the sticks that they get from college teams and like at the higher levels are so much different and so much better than other sticks. It's called pro stock. So you would have former college players who have too many sticks. So they would go ahead and they would sell their hockey stuff on pro stock.
Wow, there's some good.
Actually, Connor, Jazz Shelley is the first person I saw.
Really?
Didn't Allie Bayhorse do this too?
Well, she couldn't take it with her. She had to go back to Australia.
Right.
How about
it's just a lot of stuff.
Princewell Unmanmielen football player exclusive workout shirt, size XL, $30. It's got Matt Drill's sweat all over it. What about yikes? Matt just showed me the picture.
This is the 999 picture, Josh, right there.
Yikes!
Unflattering.
You better hope that doesn't get out.
It's sold out, but there's a team issued sports bra.
Oh no!
I'm telling you, she sold everything.
Oh no!
Sold out of the Jack Stoll Nebraska football snapback.
Oh, hello.
Okay.
No.
Kobe Webster.
Hey,
sold out.
Go Leathernecks.
Basketball team issued jacket.
Is there any Alonzo Verge merch on there?
Oh,
Alonzo Verge, a left-hand floater. You can buy it right here.
This is
a lot of Princewell stuff. Short sleeve hoodie, long sleeve hoodie, another long sleeve hoodie, long sleeve t-shirt, short sleeve t-shirt, short sleeve t-shirt, short sleeve t-shirt.
Yeah, he didn't want any of that. He got rid of everything. And he was only there for 2 years.
2 years.
So Lexi Rodriguez and Merritt Beeson are doing a photo drop. So this is like their big next event. Wow.
Welcome to the NIL era.
It's almost over.
You just killed the NIL era. The next, let's see. The wait is almost over. The next trunk that's going to drop, Justin Pippen's trunk from Michigan basketball.
Wow, big drop, big drop, big drop.
Yeah, there's always a lot of Michigan Wolverine stuff on there. So if you're a Michigan man or
What's
woman,
this called again? Athlete's Closet?
player's trunk.
Oh, okay.
I'm
There's
sure-
got to be like 7 of these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would imagine so.
Isn't Plato's Closet the thing?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that
That's where Josh got his suit. Just kidding.
Mike Rozier said it was nice.
It is nice.
He could have been placating me, but I don't care.
It is nice. And that lapel pin, that's
Did
a
he say
special
that?
order.
He didn't even say
You guys
for a
hear that?
white guy.
So
either.
Mike Rozier, Mike Rozier and I, we literally like, I shook his hand like, I think this was 2 years ago. I shook his hand and like met him at a tailgate before a Nebraska football game. Okay, didn't even get his name or anything. Just, hey, Mr. Rozier, nice to meet you, whatever, and Matt, oh, whatever. And then he was around. He walks in today, and I try reintroducing myself, and he goes, "Oh, I remember you."
Oh wow.
I was like, that is so impressive that I was just no, this is a random dude that I met that he goes,
Maybe
I
I thought you were somebody else.
Yeah, I was giving him credit, not myself credit. I was giving him credit for his memory. There's no reason he should have been able to be like, "Oh, I've seen your face before."
You want Kyle Filipowski's shorts?
Yes,
$100.
$100.
like practice shorts.
Yeah,
I don't think I could spend $100 on shorts.
but it's Kyle Filipowski.
It's flips. It's flips shorts.
Does it come with like that it's their shorts?
Some of them are autographed.
I would imagine there's a certificate.
Certificate.
I mean, these guys were on
authenticity.
Shark Tank.
Okay.
What's it called? Players
That one specifically is trunk. Players
trunk.
Trunk.
Why do I keep thinking it's athlete's closet?
I'm sure that's one too.
Let's start that one.
Yeah.
You are right. Like almost everything from Lexi Rodriguez is sold out.
Yeah.
She's
I mean,
popular.
And good for her.
I
Like,
was about to
I
say,
don't want it to
Rob
be
made
like
a lot
I'm
of
making
money.
fun of her.
But isn't like, well, some of the stuff goes back to 2021. I'm like, isn't some of the stuff you like want to keep? Like just as a,
Can only keep so much.
or does
There-
like she shows up back at the Devaney Center and they're like, hey, Lexi, come back into the cage. I got some new stuff for you.
Sign up,
I've
tell 'em
had
it's yours.
I've had a couple of buddies who they've been in they were in the athletic department for like 4 to 5 years, and they got so much stuff that they got to the point where they just started giving stuff away to people that they knew because it just
Gear.
because it just becomes too much.
And that's where people like us come in. I'll take your free stuff.
I know.
Why don't you hit up Bishop? So imagine Creighton, which is a reg.
No, they've hooked me up.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, my
Omaha-
closet's in a little full at the moment.
Omaha got
Yeah.
a delivery from Adidas after the Summit League regular season, got a delivery after the Summit League postseason,
Yeah.
got a delivery before we went to the NCAA tournament, got a delivery afterwards.
And then you sent half of it to John Gruden, and then that was it.
That's true, and a pair of shoes.
Did Trey Young give the team anything this year?
He did not give the team, like last year, he hooked him up with his new shoes that hadn't come out yet. Did not hook him up this year.
Wow.
Holy crap. I can get a Valus Jones Jr. Tennessee football team issued workout shorts. Holy Lord. And I could get a Valus Jones Jr. football player exclusive workout shirt.
That's pretty good.
Buy the matching set.
And I'm like, well, ever since Valus Jones just kind of flamed out in the NFL, he's got to sell his stuff now.
Bye.
Now, do you buy this to wear it or to display it?
Where?
I would buy it to wear.
Where?
Yeah, I wouldn't buy anything unless I was wearing it.
I mean, Valus Jones Jr. has my size.
You're right, $100 for a pair of shorts.
No.
If I'm a Duke fan and I like Filipowski and he was my favorite, I would display them.
Right.
But I'm not wearing them like to the gym
No.
and trying to convince somebody
Hey
that,
guys, these are Kyle Filipowski
hey,
shorts.
I see that in a pair of lounging
hey,
shorts.
Wake Forest fan, do you recognize these shorts?
Hey, you know who used to own these shorts right here? Kyle Filipowski. No, I can get this.
He
Ain't
was
bad. A
groomed
Valus
in
Jones
these
Jr.
shorts.
USC football team.
Remember, he got
issue
run over
Performance
by
City.
you in those shorts.
$65. That ain't bad for a hoodie.
Well, gentlemen, it's time to go.
Time for me to fly to
Yeah.
Lincoln.
And
Oh yeah.
I will. Oh yeah. Football. See you guys later tonight. See you,
Coach.
see you guys at the
I
cocktail
don't
hour.
talk like that.
Well, I've
all
heard-
right?
16-20 the zone.
They'll have cookies at the
Let 'em know.
cocktail hour.
I hope not.
Nom.
Cookies.
All right.
Coach.
That's a crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It's Thursday. We'll start things off next.
That's the crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone.
A windy and mild day ahead for your Thursday with high fire danger west of the metro. Expect northwest winds to pick up in the morning, gusting 30 to 40 miles per hour throughout the day with mostly to partly sunny skies. Highs in the mid to upper 60s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Make the right call. John Higgins weather card. The home of the
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Happy Thursday. It is the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer and Josh Odson.
Hello. Hello.
Yes. Now you talk. Now you have to talk like that. Hello.
Hello. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Is this thing on? Josh wearing a suit
Come
today.
see how good I look.
Everyone, join the YouTube today because Josh is wearing a suit. This might be it.
Definitely.
There might not be any other times in which you will be wearing a suit.
God willing.
On the show, anyway. I'm not wearing a suit.
You're not.
I'll throw on the jacket later.
You have time.
Yeah, Josh does not have time.
I don't.
Josh will be here all afternoon, and then he'll go straight to
grind.
Straight to throwing him back in the cocktail hour.
That's right. That's where I really shine.
Oh, are you you don't strike me as much of like a mingler, you know?
No, I hate it actually.
Okay. All right. Well,
I like being there, but I hate having to have a conversation with someone.
Wow, this is really the wrong place for you.
I would rather just stand in a circle while everyone else talks.
With your closest friends.
Yeah.
Which will be me and others from 1620 The Zone who will be there tonight.
I like those guys.
At the Jet Award. Thanks to those guys for coming in this morning. And congratulations in advance to Michael Severe for putting all of it together. I'm sure it'll be another excellent night out at Baxter Arena. Masters Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, and they are off. Watching people miss putts. It's great.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's not bad. It's actually pretty good out there so far today. Sounds like people are eating two apart. They're like, I'll number 2, it's par 5. They're crushing it today. So you could score on number 2, Josh, just so you know. Put that one in your back pocket.
Okay, that's good to know.
We'll see how that one plays over the weekend. Today on the show, we'll talk to Jacob Padilla at the top of the hour, and Michael Bruntz in the noon hour. That's the lineup powered by the Roofers at John Higgins Weather Guard. Want to hear from you guys? 402-951-1620. You can call or text on the hotline. Tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor or Josh O at 1620thezone.com. Tell Josh how good he looks on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers today, or those of you, of course, who are watching on Facebook.
As God intended.
We didn't forget, as John emails in now, what the hell do you mean? Come join us on the YouTube. I created my very first Facebook account yesterday just to comment on this show. Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Excellent stuff. Elsewhere today on the show, we didn't get into that the Dane Brugler beast much yesterday. We'll see where some of the Nebraska players landed. People are asking, college football reporters are asking, Josh, is SEC football losing steam?
Oh.
Has Northern college football taken over the college football landscape?
Kings of the North, kings of the game.
It's very interesting. Scott Docterman wonders if there could be some preseason games in college football on the horizon. My guess would be yes, if we're being honest with you.
Oh.
We'll be keeping an eye on the Masters, and we'll ask if you still want to fire Fred Hoiberg.
Remember when y'all wanted to fire Fred Hoiberg and this Creighton honk of a show said, no, you guys are being idiots.
Because they're going to go down to Vegas and they're going to win that crown.
Interesting.
They're going to go down to Vegas and they're going to win that crown.
Really wrecks your narrative, doesn't it?
More trouble at Texas A&M.
Oh, Trev, what have you done?
Have you seen the latest from Texas A&M?
I actually haven't. I'm excited to learn.
It's interesting. It's inside their football program, and I probably created a phrase that they weren't supposed to probably be saying. Definitely not in public. That's for sure.
Oh, like Mickey Rourke.
We'll discuss further. MLB, Major League Baseball, is shopping MLB TV. We'll talk about the significance of that, as Andrew Marchand reports yesterday.
On Puck?
And no, he's on The Athletic now.
Damn.
And Ozzie Guillen is here for a take.
He said something he wasn't supposed to say.
You think so? I'm glad he said it.
That's why he's usually in the news. I just assumed
No.
that's why he was in the news today.
Ozzie Guillen had a great take.
Okay.
Ozzie Guillen had a great take. Ozzie Guillen said that sports radio is harder than being a major league manager.
Oh, great take, Ozzie.
And so me, the sports talk radio host, is just going to gobble that one up. I love that topic. My job is hard. That is the topic.
Please validate me.
Please validate me. Exactly. I need it from you guys all day, every day. That's why we have this show. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And once again, Jacob Padilla is coming up at the top of the hour. We'll talk some hoops with him. We'll see. I want to talk to him about Creighton and obviously how their roster looks now, and also Nebraska a little bit too. And I think we'll talk about Nebraska in their, because they've had some pretty decent pickups over the last couple of days. I've liked what they've done.
Definitely.
So we'll ask Jacob about that as well. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
As Mike writes in on YouTube, Baylor Shireman made his first NBA start last night.
He sure did. Led the team in scoring as well.
That's a Nebraskan in the NBA starting. Did you see the shot that he had kind of right out of the gate? The kind of right-hand hook shot high off the glass.
It was beautiful.
Baylor Shireman. Yes, that's right. A team high 15 last night. Peyton Pritchard also had 15. And the Celtics didn't play anybody because they didn't need to.
They didn't. They've locked up the 2 seed. Can't go any higher. Can't go any lower. So they said, Baylor, you're in.
You ready for this starting lineup? Baylor Shireman, Torrey Craig. I always like Torrey Craig, by the way.
Oh.
He doesn't bring you much offensively, but defensively, I like Torrey Craig. Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett, Peyton Pritchard.
That's a Boston lineup if I've ever heard one.
That is a starting lineup. They lost by 20 to the Magic last night. But Baylor started.
He started.
People forget that. So congratulations to Baylor Shireman, which was very, very cool for him to get a start with the it feels like he's kind of up there, he's kind of just up there now.
Yeah.
Maybe he ends up playing a couple minutes in some playoff games that they have coming up, Josh.
Hello. Yeah, they will have some playoff games.
They will indeed have some playoff games. We got the Masters going on right now. I guess I should bring up my leaderboard.
Yeah, what's happening behind me here?
Masters, not that it's important at 10:48 on Thursday, but I suppose I could bring it up. Here we have a person by the name of Aaron Rye, or Ray, potentially. Rye.
Golf guys, help us out.
Aaron Rye out of England is making his Masters debut, and he is currently 4 under through 10, which has him in the lead, even if it's just for a moment, on Thursday at the Masters. Right behind him at 3 under is Stefan Jaeger.
He led the Masters.
Yeah. That'd be it. Like, even if it was through 1, I'd be like, you know what? I led the Masters a second. I made a birdie on 1. I was the first guy out the tee. I made a birdie, and I led the Masters. Now,
I would forever Masters leader, whatever your name is.
If you led the Masters after like a day, now that is really something.
Sure.
Jaeger is 3 under. Joaquin Niemann and Scotty Scheffler and Tyrell Hatton are 2 under. One of the fun games is I try to figure out what the players' first names are because I'm only looking at their last names. But I think I got there.
Oh, okay.
I think I got there. So we'll keep you updated. There won't be the 2-minute long Westwood One Masters updates happening on this station today, if you were looking for that.
No, I told nobody liked those.
I liked them. For the record, I liked them.
I did too.
Okay.
I thought it was a nice way to fill time. But
I just thought it was nice.
Put that on 1180. And I said, okay.
We don't always check in, see what's going on. Yeah, not the worst thing in the world for me, anyway. But I know that other people have differing opinions. So I mentioned Texas A&M before.
What's going on down there?
So Mike Elko. He has been asked to speak and comment on the following. During a press availability yesterday, junior defensive tackle DJ Hicks was asked about how the defensive line will replace 3 potential NFL picks and what fans can expect from that unit in the future. Hicks responded in part by saying the unit's motto is CBO. CBO. Yeah.
Okay.
And then someone naturally asked, hey, DJ, what's CBO mean? What's that mean? Hicks said, in simple terms, choke a woman out.
Oh!
Let's say that. End quote. Now, Josh, let's play a game that we play sometimes on this show.
Okay.
Should that guy have said that? Should that guy have said that? Yes or no?
Going to go with a pretty firm no here.
Extremely firm no.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Yes. He should not have said that. They should have come up with something else. This is, I mean, close to remember when Reese Davis was trying to explain to us what lank meant?
Oh, yeah.
let a naysayer know.
That's exactly what that means. What are you talking about?
And everyone so he said the Alabama, he was doing his announcer voice or whatever. He's like, the Alabama catchphrase this year has been lank. Let a naysayer know. And I'm like, oh my God, is he going to say it?
Will he say it?
Be careful.
Thursday nights on ESPN.
God, be careful, Reese. I don't want anything happening to you because you said something on the television. Well, I was just, repeating with it. No, don't have CBO be your catchphrase on the defensive line. This is from KBTX in Texas, in College Station, by the way. No athletics communication staff corrected or clarified Hicks's remarks during or after his press availability. In the video of the press conference, which was posted by the athletic department on YouTube, Hicks' clarification quote was removed.
Oh, don't do that.
So remember when Texas A&M had this, they had this little deal with baseball probably about a month or so ago now where they weren't talking to the media after the game or something like that. And people were like, and they removed, I can't remember exactly what the story was. They removed something from their media guide as far as the rules were concerned or stuff like that. Like what I'm saying is they have a history of trying to just sneak these things in there a little bit. When asked about the comments during his scheduled media availability, Texas A&M head coach Mike Elko said that it was, quote, absolutely ridiculous that was stated. It's conveying something that shouldn't be conveyed, Elko said after a disappointing look down at the podium. So we'll get that handled and addressed.
I think there's going to be a meeting where the word in-house is said a lot.
Well, I mean,
they're going to show clips of The Godfather where Vito tells his children never to let anyone outside of the family know what you're thinking.
There is also the question of you probably just shouldn't have this be your phrase at all.
That is obvious. Yes.
I obviously wonder how this got out, and the clarification quote certainly wasn't pretty or anything like that. But possibly the bigger thing is, why are your players walking around saying that their motto is CBO? Like, I don't know, it's
just locker room talk.
Because these are the stories that people want to know. How often do we talk about stupid mottos?
Oh
my God. It's all we care about in the media. Stupid mottos, things like that.
What are you chasing this year?
The natural question is, that's cool. I'm glad you guys have a fun thing that you like to rally around. What does it mean? What does it mean?
What does it mean?
You better either come up with something better than that, or probably just be prepared to answer that question, or just don't have that catchphrase or motto altogether. That'd probably be the best thing.
Or, choke him out also works.
No, it's probably still not good.
It's better.
It is definitely better. It is definitely better. Thank you, texter who just texted me this. Texas A&M baseball stated publicly that players would only do interviews after wins.
Oh, that's right. Ensuring that they wouldn't have to do that very much because they haven't been winning a lot of games. Although they did take 2 or 3.
They have been now. Weekend, yeah, they're kind of cooking a little bit now. So just file this into the what's going on at Texas A&M category. Venmo Chris writes in.
Hi, Venmo Chris.
You'd really hate to be the guy in charge of Texas A&M athletics right now. That guy can't be happy. A real shame.
Wonder who that guy is.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't really talk about SEC athletic directors on this radio show. Jeff writes in.
Hi, Jeff.
That is ... Problematic. Indeed. I would tend to agree with that.
Good, solid take.
Matt writes in, what does Trev Alberts think about the motto? He has not commented on this.
Send a interview request?
No.
Okay.
That's okay. We'll leave Trev alone. He's got bigger fish to fry at the moment.
Connor, leave Trev alone.
We'll leave Trev alone.
Okay.
At some point, Trev will be commenting on a variety of different things. All right. So that's today in Aggieland. Maybe that should be a segment on the show, Josh.
Today in
Aggieland. Here's what's going on. Oh, look, they're doing that weird thing.
Sway.
They're sawing him off. And Trev definitely doesn't look awkward doing that.
Nope, he loves it. Loves his life.
That
and his
guy's doing
decision-making.
all those things with his arms and hands. Whoop, whoop.
Hey,
What does that
let's
mean?
yell. We yell here.
Jacob Padilla is our next guest.
He doesn't yell.
No. He's very calm, cool, and collected.
He played a lot of basketball, so be gentle with him. He's very tired.
Back after this with Jacob on 1620 The Zone.
Basketball Jones.
Now, the only cure for our basketball Jones. Hail Varsity's Jacob Padilla on the Connor Happer Show on 1620. The Zone, baby.
I'd like to share a tweet from Jeff Goodman at Goodman.
It's a long one.
It is a long one. Stick with me, Jacob. High Point head coach Alan Huss, a Creighton alum, is finalizing a deal to rejoin Greg McDermott's staff immediately as the coach in waiting, sources told the Field at 68. McDermott, 60, hasn't put an exact timeline on his retirement, but sources said that it'll likely be within the next 2 seasons. McDermott has won more than 600 games, blah, 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 blah. We'll skip over that paragraph. The plan is for the 46-year-old Huss to leave his head coaching spot at High Point immediately and return to his alma mater to ease transition once McDermott does decide to retire. The plan allows McDermott to have Huss on staff to ease the transition, allows Huss to be the head coach at his alma mater, and also enables the school to have a plan in place for continuity. And we are now joined by Jacob Padilla. So there you go. There's some good fodder for today's conversation, Jacob.
Yeah, not too often that I've come on as news has broken. Not terribly shocking. It's something that's kind of been rumored, and I believe it's been in the works for a while. And apparently they got to a point where somebody felt comfortable leaking it to the various national writers.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's obvious, what's the top story here that we're probably looking at like 1 or 2 more seasons with Greg McDermott, or that, Creighton just got one of the better mid-major coaches in college basketball to join their staff and then eventually be their next head coach?
Yeah, I think it's probably more the latter, because I mean, we're at that point now where it was kind of year to year with Mac, that conversation, obviously working through the extensions and all that to continue coaching here, but all indications were that we were getting closer to the end for Mac.
Yep.
Now that with the next 2 years puts a bit more of a timeline on it versus is this the year? Is this the year? Is this the year? Could he keep going for even longer with the way that he got it rolling? But the fact that I think Huss was probably always, or at least recently, kind of has risen to the top of that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I was, at what point do you think it became obvious that he was going to be the next guy?
Yeah, it seemed like for a while there, Darren DeVries was kind of that guy, but he's kind of taken his own path and continued to elevate his own job status over the last few years, and obviously is now at Indiana. And so I think with the success that Huss has had recently, the kind of the fact that he is an alumnus, I think all signs started to kind of point to that way if they were going to hire within his coaching tree, which probably makes sense considering what that tree is, and all the success that the various assistants that have come through his program are having with their own programs across the country. So Huss is a guy that's proven he can recruit at Creighton at a high level. He was one of their key recruiters during his time here. And now he's gone out and shown that he can run his own program and put together teams that can compete in their league and quickly turn High Point into one of the better mid-majors in the country. So the interesting thing is the fact that they do work out the step away from the head coach to be the coach in waiting, potentially for 2 more years, if according to Goodman's report. That certainly isn't. I mean, with the money going around now and everything that involves that's involved with coaching. Creighton can certainly make it worth worth it for him, but it is interesting. You'd rather have him as a coach of waiting in staff rather than continuing to run his own program. And I guess the danger there is if you wait and let him continue coaching there's a chance that somebody else could swoop in and he could kind of hit the DeVries fast track to a power program that would be much harder to lure him away from. So I think that's kind of all the calculations that Creighton was working through once they decided, Mac and with the athletic administration support decided like, hey, this should be the guy, and let's do what we need to make sure that plays out that way.
Like you said, it's a really unique situation, just given that usually, the coach in waiting stuff, a guy will sort of just behind the scenes, kind of identify it himself. And like you said, over the last couple of years, Huss has sort of risen to the top of that, especially with the success in the last 2 years at High Point. But getting to see this play out where, he's actually on the staff and everyone knows that he is the coach in waiting, like that is, that's a little bit different and unique. And Creighton has a baseball coach in waiting situation, and then the volleyball, situation that sort of unfolded on, surprisingly on Sunday night is sort of fascinating as well. So I guess Creighton's not necessarily like new to all this, and it kind of stays in the family, I suppose, if you will. But it is, it's interesting the way that they sort of chose to do it. Locking that down, like you said before, he could potentially grow into, take another great opportunity. He must have thought, Jacob, like, this is too good. I eventually want this job, so why not just lock this in now?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's kind of what it is. Both sides decided, hey, this is where we want to go. Again, he went here, so you've got the kind of the natural tie there, and assuming that based on the way it's worked out, he enjoyed his time working for McDermott, and is perfectly happy sliding back into that role here for however long McDermott continues to coach. So that's where it is a little different than the baseball situation. But you're right that it is something that Creighton seems to really be embracing, which is interesting because it was not. I mean, a lot of times you see the kind of coach in waiting, and it doesn't work out super great. Either the coach ends up coaching longer than expected, and the coach or the assistant gets tired of waiting and gets a job somewhere else, or maybe it doesn't turn out great once the transition actually happens. But I think, like again with baseball, there wasn't really like Ed Service, Mark Kingston. They're two different people. They didn't really overlap outside of some various competition over the years. Like McDermott and Huss, they've worked together. They know that dynamic already. So it's just kind of a seamless fit throwing him back in there. And, so yeah, it's an interesting. Again, just kind of points to where Creighton is now. It's a big time power move. Like Huss is one of the names that I assuming a lot of programs considered with their coaching openings this cycle. I know a lot of fans have thrown his names out for multiple jobs, and the fact that I think that he wasn't I guess more heavily discussed in some of those was an indication that this has been in the works, and kind of makes sense why things were so quiet on his front when he was such a hot name going down the stretch of the season.
You were around the entire time that Huss was an assistant here, and I always found him, quite the joy to talk to. And I think him and Mac approach things in similar ways, like you just said, and they're a lot like each other, a lot alike to each other. But I guess when you think of Huss as a coach, what stands out first? Now we haven't been close over the last couple of years at High Point, and assistant coach and head coach is a different thing. But when you think about Alan Huss as a basketball coach, what sort of comes to mind first?
Yeah, just a guy that has a lot of connections. Obviously, he kind of started in the basketball like prep powerhouse world with La Lumiere, and put in some time there, and has coached at multiple levels, mid-major, high major, obviously with Creighton, and a guy that can really recruit. And he at High Point is able to put together teams that quickly put together teams in multiple ways that were able to kind of run through that league and make the tournament. So that's first and foremost, I think, where he's established himself as a big name, is his ability to recruit. And that will continue to be. I know everybody talks about, you don't really recruit anymore. It's just the players go to the highest bidder, and there's some of that, but also the ability to identify and connect and recruit. That's still important. Like, that's how you put together the best teams, as opposed to just getting the biggest name players, is identifying, all right, this guy is a great fit for us, and kind of selling why your program is a better fit than others. So I can't say I studied how his teams played at High Point too closely. I kind of followed their success. So we'll see kind of how he views things differently than McDermott in terms of playing style and some of the things that he wants to do. But also he's had a front row seat and will continue to how McDermott does things. And have to believe that he'll continue to kind of pick his brain and really lock in on the things that work here and keep a lot of that stuff as he makes it his own program.
We got a comment here from Debo on the YouTube who says, "I don't want Matt going out before he gets the national recognition he deserves." And I was just going to ask you, or we were going to talk about like basketball and the roster and things like that. They've been pretty aggressive and competitive in the transfer portal since we last talked. They got Josh Dix, and then they got Dimitrievich, the freshman who they were in on for a long time from overseas. They've been aggressive in putting this roster together. Not that they wouldn't have been, but then, if you're starting to, we're certainly, closer to the end, if not pretty close to the end for Greg McDermott. Like, now, does it change the perspective of what these next couple teams, like, does it up the urgency at all? Obviously, there's always a really high urgency for them to win, but like, I would imagine that Mac is going to try and go out and put some of the best rosters he could possibly put together before he ends up leaving.
Yeah, I think the kind of the transfer portal haul this cycle kind of indicated to the fact that they're kind of going all in as much as they can. They're willing to they've garnered the support necessary to go out and basically get whoever they wanted, within reason, obviously, because like a guy like Josh Dix, he wasn't a massive like positional need, but they were willing to take to do what it took to get him anyway, and to just round out the roster and get the best players that they can that fit the program. So that's one where you kind of you needed to get your big man, you needed to get your point guard after losing the guys did last year, and the fact they're able to go get Dix as well just indicated that, all right, they're all in here. They're putting together the best team they can. Obviously, like you said, kind of reaching the end here for McDermott. It's interesting. I think he's very well respected within the coaching and college basketball world. It's just you don't win a you don't win a national.
You don't get to be to the top of the sport without going to like multiple Final Fours. Yeah.
And obviously the Big still hasn't gotten the Big East tournament. Kind of the Big East regular season that he got was split and at a weird time, and so you don't have any of those kind of top end things on the resume that maybe kind of the casual basketball fan would gravitate to. But outside of that, you really look at what he's done. I think it's pretty clear why he's so, and the way his team's played. I know Matt DeMarinis and I just so many times over the last couple of years over the podcast is just the way Creighton has gotten so good at what they do.
Yeah.
And that's entirely on coaching, is finding guys that can do exactly what you want, coaching them up, and to consistently produce and play the way you need to in order to have success. And obviously the offensive acumen is what often gets referred to nationally and things like that. But his evolution as a defensive coach,
that's crazy.
The way he's embraced input from his assistants, like that's the kind of the defensive shifts over the years. A lot of that, like, he puts a lot on his assistant coaches, which is probably why so many of them go on to have success as head coaches. But that's the kind of coach he is, where he really relies on his assistants to help him get better and to put the best product on the floor as possible. So that's kind of, I think, the Greg McDermott legacy is just kind of everything that he's done, what he's elevated Creighton to. And I think he, in due time, he'll get a lot of credit for that. It's just, he's not ever going to enter the best coaches in the country conversation nationally because of, like we talked about, the lack of hardware.
I think the biggest thing now, as you look at the evolution of it over the last several years, they're not like at first, and especially when they joined the Big East or even when they were in the Valley, it was like they were attached to sort of a style, right? Like a style of basketball. Not that they're not anymore. Like you said, they're known for their sort of offensive prowess, but like more so than a tempo or, how many threes they want to shoot or whatever it might be. It's more like fundamental things like focus and execution and like, really honed in on the detail stuff. And so they've gotten away, like the most impressive thing is, like you said, they've been able to win in so many different styles. And like you said, we're not sure what Huss is going to bring to the table in that category. And I think that's a big part of the learning curve over the next couple of years to, go through that and adjust and figure out what team you have. I mean, it's fascinating, but there's a lot of different angles to this story, Jacob, as you know.
Yeah, and heck of a week for Creighton athletics as a whole. Creighton's not quite done yet. I mean, we're seeing they're still active in the transfer portal. The roster isn't entirely set yet. We'll see. Can they add one more piece that might be in the mix to be a rotation player either this year or over the long haul? How do they kind of handle the last few roster spots here? Still a lot to do, but this was kind of the big one that was hanging out there that they need to get it sorted at some point here, because you want to be operating at full strength as you finish, you go through the portal and kind of turn over every rock to put together the best team you can. So now you've got that out of the way. I think hopefully we'll be getting official word here soon. I think somebody mentioned within the next day or two. So that would be nice. And now it's all in on kind of finishing out this roster and then heading into the offseason.
All right, Jacob. It's a busy day all of a sudden. We'll let you get to it. Thanks for being on with us for a few minutes, and good to talk as always. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
That is Jacob Padilla. Great stuff on the breaking news that Creighton has a head coach in waiting. What sport?
Again.
What sport, yeah. Connor? Basketball, men's basketball. Let's open things up and discuss this on the other side. We got some room for you guys if you'd like to comment and give us a call at 402-951-1620. There's already a lot to talk about with the basketball team and sort of the roster and how it looks, and now maybe the conversation becomes a little bit different. So we want to hear from you guys on the show, as it is being widely reported, not official yet, but widely enough reported where it's happening, that Alan Huss is leaving High Point. He was the head coach at High Point for the last 2 years. He's leaving that post effective immediately and will be on staff at Creighton next year with the tag of coach in waiting. We can talk about the timeline and all those things. So we'll open it up for you guys, and we'll discuss more next here on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. It's the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. You know what today is, Josh? It's a big win for my bald guys.
Big win for Baldies?
No, not baldies.
Balding. I said balding.
Not balding.
Oh.
Bald guys. Me, handshake meme, Al Huss. That's newer for him, as it is newer for me as well.
You can talk about being new to the.
I just saw a picture from White and Blue Review had this ready to go, and they had the Al Huss career highlight reel, 97 to 01. He had a great head of hair when he was here, 97 to 01. Went to a couple NCAA tournaments, and just over the last couple of years, he's like, you know what, we're gonna go all the way down, which is good. Anyway, Alan Huss is the coach in waiting. I can't say enough. I mean, we see these coach in waiting situations go side. How many coach in waitings has Mark Few had at Gonzaga? Like 3? It's like Tommy Lloyd. Tommy Lloyd got the Arizona job. So when you do this, you don't necessarily have to guarantee a timeline. And we'll get more on that for when Mac is going to hang it up. But obviously the end is near, which makes you sad. I would assume within the next 1 or 2 years. Maybe there's only one more season left of Greg McDermott. But
seems like it really wouldn't be longer than that, right?
Longer than 2, I don't think so.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. Certainly not longer than 3, I guess. But so think about Huss. He already was a pretty highly, thought of mid-major coach for what he's done in the last 2 years at High Point, getting him on the doorstep of the NCAA tournament in his first season, and then in the NCAA tournament in his second season at High Point, 56-15 over 2 years. By the way, they went to the CBI in his first year and got runner-up in that game, or in that postseason tournament. Josh,
runner-up in a postseason tournament.
Imagine that.
Weak.
So if he stays at High Point this year and they win again, which we have no reason to believe that they wouldn't, he is probably the hot mid-major coach in the country. So think of it that way. He just so happens to be a Creighton alum. He just so happens to have served on Greg McDermott's staff for 7 years. So there's that piece of it.
A lot of your other options of like D-Rock at Indiana, you're probably not going to lure him away from Indiana.
No, I don't.
Unless
think
it
so.
goes horribly right away.
Yeah, I think there was some finality with that too, right? Is he was at West Virginia and all the coaching moves at Iowa and stuff like that. All that happens a couple weeks ago, and then after that happened, it just felt like we all turned our eyes to Alan Huss. He will be the next men's basketball coach at Creighton, and what a move! I mean, like I said, think about that. You got a guy who is an alum, who knows the program, who served on the legendary, now will be legendary coach's staff, so understands it in the Big East too, right?
Important.
It's not like he was around for a couple years when they were in the Valley and then left and stuff like that, but then went to another place, had success, and certainly could have, without a timeline or without this interaction here, from Creighton now, certainly could have, taken whatever job came his way next year. But then you don't know how it works out after that. Maybe he's not in a position to, maybe he goes to, I don't know, Utah or something like that, and it's not good. And then Mac retires, and then all of a sudden you're not hiring the coach who had won a couple, conference title and an NCAA tournament appearance at a mid-major school, who was an alum. You're hiring a guy who did that and now has it tainted a little bit. Does it make him a worse coach? No, but it changes the optics. It changes the perspective of it. Like I said, he's still the same guy, and I would believe if he would have ended up at a high major school during, not this coming season, but next college basketball season, that he probably would have, had success, because I think he's a really good coach. But Creighton just made it so the next place he goes is here, and he's going to come on this staff and be an assistant on this staff, which, if you're thinking about what Creighton's going to be the next year or two, I mean, what a great, what an incredible staff that is. They have the staff position open because Ryan Miller took the job at Murray, and he comes in and he gets to kind of be the top lieutenant. But you now do it with a little bit of a different watchful eye. If you're Al Huss, I'm sure he had always thought about being the head coach here, but now you're going to be the head coach here. And so you watch you watch the details, and you see how hard Greg McDermott works and all of those different things. I mean, there's that's as good as it gets. Like I don't think Creighton fans should have any complaints, this should be a celebratory day. And it's amazing that it's a celebratory day, because there's an admittance from Greg McDermott in Creighton that the end is near. Right? Creighton's about to lose a legendary coach.
Yes.
Within the next however long.
Again.
Year or two. Creighton's about to lose a legendary coach. And there are absolutely no guarantees that it's going to work. But if your goal is to secure your future, and if your goal is to put yourself in the best position to be able to keep what you're doing right now going, Creighton doesn't need a identity change. Creighton doesn't need to do anything different that it's been doing over the last 15 years. And so the task is, how do we keep doing this without the person who made it all go? And you have identified this person, Al Huss, as your best opportunity to do that, and you went out and you made it happen. I imagine it was tough to probably get Huss out of his situation at High Point. I imagine it was tough, but he, like I said to Jacob, he would have had to say to himself, well, I want this job. This is where I want to eventually be. So why do we have to do anything else in the middle? Let's just cut out the middleman, and let's just go back, and then we'll do it. Whenever it decides to be, and like when he gets here, he's going to be super supportive of Greg McDermott.
Yeah, and I mean, it tells you
he'll tell him stay as long as you want, man. But yeah, I mean, the end is certainly near.
It tells your recruits, it tells kids in the portal, like, hey, we're going to keep this thing up and running. I'm sure there are other coaches saying things like, don't go to Creighton. Mac's going to leave any day now. He's going to leave. You don't want to go to Creighton. Come here. It puts a note to everybody. I want you to put the word out that we back up.
Let's see here. We got a couple comments from you guys. By the way, Twitter at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. You can email Connor or Josh Show at 1620thezone.com. The Equitable Bank inbox says the news is that Alan Huss is returning to Creighton as the coach in waiting upon Greg McDermott's retirement, which there is no timeline for, but the speculation is that it could be within the next couple years. Tony writes in.
Hi, Tony.
Isn't this just the unintended consequences of paying coaches and the workload? At some point you have enough, and maybe there is a regret of what you missed your kids and having the means to be there for grandkids. Yeah, like you had always got the sense from Mac over the last this has really been a conversation, I guess, over the last 5 years, I suppose, maybe something like that. He's only 60. That there is no doubt about it that he works hard. He is, you hear from anybody in that program, he is always watching film, and he's always thinking about the big picture, and there's a lot of stuff on his plate. when you hear whenever he addresses this, whenever Mac talks about this, I don't think he will make any reference to what's changing in college sports because they've clearly adapted, and they're not that's not a program who makes excuses. And as we've talked about a lot over the last few weeks here, I think Creighton's positioned really, really well going forward as a basketball school and a basketball conference at a school that's going to, put whatever money it has into making sure that men's basketball runs well. But like, I don't know, Mac really, he wanted to be here. And I know there was the flirtations with the other jobs over the last couple of years, and Creighton made it known, Creighton kept him, right? So as much talk as there has been about Marcus and whatever over the last couple of days, they were able to keep him on multiple occasions from huge pursuance from high major jobs over the last couple of years. He would be he should be the first guy on anybody's list if a job, of high caliber opens like that. But I think Mac too, he wanted to be here, and he probably wanted to end his career here. And we knew that wasn't going to be very long.
They put his name on a building, for crying out loud.
He likes to Mac works hard at what he does, and he also really likes to golf. You know what I mean? Literally and so I think at that point, you're just like, I've done a lot here, and we have advanced the program. And if you're looking at it really, really big picture, and I don't know that he thinks about it this way, but from the outside looking in, from this perspective, we have taken this program that was in good shape. We made it better. We moved into a conference that undoubtedly puts us in the best position that we have ever been in. We've had the best players that we've ever had. We have now broken through in the NCAA tournament. 5 years ago, the conversation was about how they couldn't win in the NCAA tournament. It's not even close to that anymore. They've been to Elite 8, Sweet 16, 3 out of 4 years. Win a tournament game basically every year now. That is the expectation at Creighton. So it is elevated completely. It is in a much better place than really it has ever been if you look at it from a 5-year rolling window perspective or something like that. And now we have identified the end is near enough to where we can identify the person who is going to be right for this job and continue that success and continue to push the program forward. And the timing works out. The timing is never good to lose your best coach in school history.
Mm-hmm.
The timing is never good for that. But I don't know. I can't really think of a way that it worked out any better.
And
how does it work out better for them? I don't know. This is unbelievable.
I love Huss coming in with some skin in the game. It means something to him to have this job. It isn't just another job. And not that Greg saw it as just another job, but it's going to mean more to him walking through those hallways where, having his players wear the Creighton uniform, and he's going to, bust his butt to not be the guy that lets it slip,
Sindelar writes in,
"Hi, Alex.
Villanova tried the coach in waiting thing with Neptune, sent him to Fordham. He was crap there and then pulled the trigger anyway. Huss's success at High Point is a great sign that he can win at any level. Yeah, I don't think he was so obviously the guy until the last 2 years, until you saw him win and then win again, And like I said, now all of a sudden the way coaches rise and stuff like that, he would have taken a job after next year.
According to just a very quick search on Twitter, Maryland was driving pretty hard at the hoop.
Maryland
for the Huss bus.
Well, they got themselves buzz. They buzzed themselves.
They're buzzing the tower.
Let's see. This is from the section 220 boys.
Hey, 220 boys.
I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Well, we can't sing that song anymore, right?
Well,
okay.
Why is it okay to sing Michael Jackson songs,
All
but
right.
not?
I don't know. Just timing.
Okay.
No, we
soon?
could still sing the song.
Okay. It's a good song. There, I said it.
Aaron writes in.
Hi, Aaron.
Feels a lot like Osborne at Nebraska. It's hard work to be a coach. It's a ton of hours. No job is stressful and hard for majority of people. The Sabans of the world, the ones that have to be doing something always with less going on around them besides the sport they coach. It has to be hard. It has to be the same for coaches. You just get a few more crazy people who can't function outside the sport. Even as a Creighton hater, I could see Mac isn't like that. He's a pretty. He sees the world, right? He sees the universe that he lives in, right? There have been coaches who are just like football, basketball, and some of those guys are grinders and they have a lot of success. But like Mac wants to probably go watch his son play in the NBA, and he wants to go to Steelers games when it's nice outside, and he wants to be on the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
And he's earned that. He's absolutely earned that.
Absolutely.
He's taken this program farther than any of us could have ever imagined. I think about it every day. It's amazing. So
Kings are going to have a play-in game in here in about a week.
Yeah. So there you go. We'll have more as we go on throughout the show today. As once again, oh yeah, look at this. Placat writes in.
Hi, Placat.
Josh wore a suit to honor Al Huss. Class
right.
act. Where's your Creighton lapel pin?
No one has offered me one. Maybe I can ask Ras for one tonight.
I didn't bring one for you. I should have. Should have brought mine. Yeah. Matthew says can't overlook how elite the coaching staff's going to be with the both of them for now. So that is the other angle to this that I want to talk more about at the noon hour. This sets up as an opportunity, and we touched on it with Jacob. 1 year, 2 years, you are throwing everything at it. You are throwing everything at it. Because wouldn't it be great if that guy got his flowers? He's going to, no matter what. But I'm talking about like if he, if Ryan Nembhard isn't called for a foul and he goes to the Final Four a couple years ago, like it would have been a coronation. It would have been like, oh my God, this guy's been a great coach for a long time at this place. We're talking about Creighton as like a national power type of program. I'm so glad he's ended up in the Final Four. It would be the same thing, if not more so, now that he's on his way out, whatever that may be. So we'll talk more about that coming up in the noon hour. But next, Josh has the odd news on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
All right. We got odd news still.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what everyone is tuning in.
There's news everywhere, Josh. There's good news, and then there's odd news.
All right. Well,
what's in the odd news category today?
Well, we go to minor league baseball, Jupiter, Florida. The Jupiter Hammerheads, the single A affiliate of the Miami Marlins.
I almost threw up when I heard this on Tuesday night.
Oh yeah, as a just throw strikes guy, this has to sicken you. The 22 walks the Jupiter Hammerheads allowed the other night, and the Miami Marlins broadcast team really didn't care for that.
So it's like a couple kids, right?
Yeah.
They're doing it. Or young professionals. So this is an A-ball?
This is A-ball. Oh, I'm sorry. It was an A-ball broadcast that
the Miami Marlins A-ball broadcast
team. Yeah. The play-by-play voice.
They were like, "This is embarrassing."
Trouble. Yeah.
You know, and I know we're supposed to be, optimistic about our team, but this, nobody's really watching anyway. So the two people, and then of course the clip goes viral and 1 million people watch it.
Yeah, don't ever say nobody's watching, because then it goes viral. This is only my 5th season. I've been in baseball a little under a decade because of my college days. I've never written so many RBI walks in a book before. Listen, I know that I'm supposed to be optimistic about our team here, but I mean, come on, guys. Like, I could go out there, let me loosen up my shoulder. I'll go help things out, because you got to put it over the plate. You got to give your defense a shot.
So you don't want to throw yourself in there either. That's not a good call either. But I don't know what else you do. I don't know what you do. I'm trying to imagine myself in a world where Creighton walks 22 people and I'm doing the game. And I mean, there's nothing else you could do besides sigh and say, "Oh no, this is unbelievable." Make light out of it a little bit, right?
It's
an exponentially horrible thing.
I think you also have to do a little, Tony Miller behind the plate, really tiny strike zone tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know what that guy's doing.
Yeah.
You got to help your guys a little bit, right?
Yeah. Bad deal.
We go to Liverpool for story number 2, where a driver was allegedly spotted inhaling nitrous oxide while driving erratically.
Sure.
The driver of a blue Volkswagen Golf had been spotted by concerned passersby who reported him to police. The force said the driver was taken into custody for drug testing. He was also reported for a number of other offenses, including careless driving, drug driving, using a mobile phone, and not in proper control of a vehicle.
All that would track with huffing nitrous oxide.
Yeah, he was also speeding, which had people making NOS jokes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you got the NOS in your car and you got the NOS in your
Sure.
According to Liverpool Police's Facebook page, again, Facebook is where it's at, people. The young man driving this car thought it was fun to speed into Liverpool, intimidate other drivers, drive erratically, consume nitrous oxide and cannabis, and generally make the world around him a little less pleasant.
Don't do
that.
Don't huff nitrous oxide and drive, folks.
Good PSA.
Should make a bumper sticker.
Finally, Connor, NASA has a new program that they've announced. They're offering $3 million for the public's help. So listen up.
Okay.
They're offering $3 million to anyone who proposes technology to solve an unusual problem: recycling feces and other human waste in space.
So they're asking the public to make this?
Yeah, do our job for us. We're just NASA. What do we know? The space agency's Luna Recycle Challenge calls on members of the public to propose a technological means of recycling astronaut feces, urine, and vomit. Normalize vomiting at work, people. On the moon and during, that's the dream, puking on the moon. And during long-haul space flights, there are currently 96 bags of human waste that were left behind on the moon by astronauts from the Apollo missions. And the aim of the Luna Recycle Challenge is to prevent adding to the stinky space stash.
I mean, there really is nothing you could do about it, right? I mean, I don't want to pollute the moon. I don't want the moon to just become our landfill. But
Yeah,
at the
that's a
same
bad
time,
precedent to set.
you can't bring the poop back with you.
Yeah, I'm not bringing those bags back and like, okay, we're back. We've made it home safe. It's time to burn the poop.
Yeah, I don't know what you do here, and clearly NASA doesn't either.
Yeah,
because they're just like, well, if you guys can come up with something, we're taking ideas.
Whatever you
got.
What
a weird thing that NASA did.
Yeah, kind of why I brought it up.
NASA Recycle Challenge.
I mean,
this came out last year.
Oh, it did? I just read about it today.
A $3 million 2-track, 2-phase competition focused on the design and development of recycling solutions that can reduce solid waste and improve sustainability of longer-term lunar missions. Submissions are due now.
Oh,
phase 1 submissions are overdue.
Oh no!
So sorry, Josh is bringing you this story far too late.
I just read about it.
NASA is committed to sustainable space exploration as we prepare for future human space missions. There will be a need to consider how various waste streams, including solid waste, can be minimized, as well as how waste can be stored, processed, and recycled in the space environment. The challenge can also influence and inspire better approaches and outcomes for terrestrial recycling. Help us recycle regularly as well through entirely novel approaches, through processes that improve efficiency and reduce toxic outputs, and through smaller scale technologies that could be deployed in communities and around the globe. Wow. Well, I wish them good luck. I hope they find an answer to this. It does seem like a problem. Is there laws against just dumping stuff in space? Because you don't want a bag of poop floating around. At the same
I don't know that
time,
there would be a law on it. I mean, who governs space? Space Force?
I don't know who governs space. At the same time, it's pretty big.
Space?
Yes.
Yeah. Vast.
Yeah. So, like, the odds of it being really a problem for anybody, I don't know. Maybe I toss it back into Earth and then it burns up upon arrival. That's something that happens in movies.
Oh yeah.
Is that a thing that happens in real life?
I'm picturing a guy who finally buys that condo on the moon, and he gets there and, okay, I got all my stuff, I'm ready, and there's a bag of poop at his place. He's like, man.
Grant writes in.
Hi, Grant.
Just feed the astronauts prunes so they don't poop at all. Interesting.
I wonder if that does go into consideration. Like, hey, we know it's not impossible for you not to poop while you're up there, but we'd like to limit it. So here, eat this prune smoothie.
Good text from the 402.
Hi, 402.
I thought NASA scientists were smart, but apparently they don't know bleep.
All right, that's well written.
You like that?
I do.
I like that. All right, so if you got any ideas, send them over to NASA, or send them to us, and we'll forward them to NASA.
Yeah, we're tight with those NASA boys.
Yeah, we got you.
And girls.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That is the odd news. The noon hour is coming up. We could dive more into the immediate future for the Creighton basketball team. Michael Bruntz is going to join us. We have other topics that we were going to get to today as well, such as preseason games in college football and things of that nature. Yes, football. Douglas in the YouTube chat, rejoice. At some point today, we will be talking about football. He can't stand the people talking about Creighton. Can't stand it. Well, I'm sorry. This is not the time for you.
Perma-triggered.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
He does it the only way he knows how. With his massive sports brain sprinkled with a smidgen of rabble-rousing. Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
You know, we've been respecting Ed Cooley for so long now. When will the when will they start respecting Greg McDermott? What will they get Greg McDermott on the Greg McDermott retirement tour?
Everyone's going to get him a rocking chair.
What did the Yankees get John Sterling? They got him something like, it was like a gift card to somewhere or something like that. It was not
83-inch television.
TV. They gave him a TV.
And then he stayed retired for like 2
10
months.
seconds.
Like a playoff game.
Come back
there.
and do the playoffs. That's not a very good John Sterling. I wonder what happens with the Greg McDermott retirement tour, which, who knows? Maybe we'll get more clarification this summer if that is sooner or later. From the YouTube, Omaha, the city, says, I like everything Creighton is doing.
He likes it.
Who wouldn't? I don't know what they're. I mean, I guess I know some people who wouldn't. I suppose some people who don't like to see Creighton basketball do well, but there's no guarantees in this world. But Creighton just put themselves in the best possible position. So where we left you off, and we don't have to talk about this the whole segment, but you know, if you haven't heard the news today, Alan Huss is rejoining the Creighton staff as the coach in waiting. Signaling Greg McDermott's retirement is coming soon, not immediately, but he is coming back on the staff.
Eventually.
Some have speculated within the next couple of years. Don't know that for sure. But we'll see. We'll see what that ends up looking like. And I mean, it's kind of been a thing at the end of every season, you know, for a while now. Like, oh, is he going to be here next year? That is one kind of nice thing. Like if it is 2 years, you know, it's like, oh wow, we don't actually have to worry about him taking another job, you know, next year or something like that.
Right.
I
think next time Indiana opens up,
yeah,
no worries.
Some random Big Ten school wants to pay a bunch of money and deservedly so. And you're just like, well, wow, that's not gonna happen.
No,
it's great. And when Greg McDermott does retire, they do have a coach in waiting, and that is Alan Huss, who was on the staff from 2017 to 2023, and for the last 2 years has been the head basketball coach at High Point. High Point had a winning season just once in the prior 7 years to him showing up, and then they won I believe a regular season conference title and then a postseason conference title in 2 years. Got to the NCAA tournament, and who knows what would have happened this year. He is leaving that post immediately to join Creighton staff as an assistant, as those are the newsy details of the deal. But now we think about, I'm left thinking about the now, Josh.
Okay.
There will be a time and there will be a place for the big picture and everything that Mac has done and how great, you know, all that stuff is and learning more about Alan Huss and all of those things. But right now, I can't help but think about the last year or two or whatever it is of Greg McDermott's coaching career at Creighton. Can't help but think about it.
Last Dance vibes.
But like in a really good way, right?
Oh yeah. It all in to the extreme. Right?
I'm not going to go as far as like saying this helps you in recruiting or anything like that, but I do think it helps you in your pursuit of players. Like clearly, I mean, there's not going to be any rebuilding deals over the next. Once again, let's just operate on the assumption that it's 2. I don't know that. Nobody knows that.
It is a number you've plucked out of the air. Let's be clear about that.
It's 2. Let's just operate under the assumption that it's 2. There will be no rebuild. There will there will be no chance
Well,
that
let's take that freshman and have him in 4 years become something that we can
Now,
maybe advance in the tournament.
they're still going to recruit and they still want to develop players,
You
and
have to.
Huss is going to want to do that too. But they are going to be incredibly aggressive in the transfer portal. Look at what they've done already this offseason, where we had kind of heard that this was in the works now for a couple weeks, I guess. This is in the works for what is it? Yeah, I guess a couple weeks. And now what they've done to go out and pay the money that people are reporting that Josh Dix was worth in the transfer portal to go out and get him and Nick Graves and Owen Freeman, and really, really aggressively going after these players in the transfer portal that could help them right now. And in a lot of cases, they're only going to be here for 1 year. I think Freeman has 2. I think Dix has 1. I think Graves has 1. I believe that is correct. And there's going to be more. I think they're probably going to, go out there and try and get some more guys in the transfer portal. Not that every single one of them is going to be the best player that is in the transfer portal, but what I'm saying is there's no let's put this guy in there and maybe he gets better and by the end of the season or by next season he's a superstar for them. That is kind of how it's worked over the last couple of years. Think about year 1 to year 2 Baylor Shireman. Think about year 1 to year 2 Stephen Ashworth. Not that those guys were developmental guys, because they helped you. Both of them helped you immensely, and they were immediate impact guys in their first years. But what I'm saying is the urgency kind of goes up a little bit, and it's like we're not going to take a step back. We're going to give that guy, Greg McDermott, the best possible chance to win big right now. And I think the donors understand that. I think the athletic department kind of understands that as well, and they should. So that's what I'm left thinking about. Selfish old me right now, thinking about the right now. Like I said, there will be a time and a place and a day to talk about the big picture and what Mac has brought and what Huss will bring. But I'm thinking about, oh boy, can we load up even more for 2026? Can we load up even more for 2027? We already thought that this wasn't going to be a step back year for Creighton based on what they've done in the transfer portal. In my opinion, now it makes sense why. Now, we say that, and they lost Ryan Kalkbrenner and Stephen Ashworth, but they've lost
good players.
But they've lost guys before, and at the end of the season, it's like, yeah, good luck, whatever, without Doug McDermott. And the next season after Doug, admittedly, was the worst it's been, but immediate rebound. All right, well, good luck without, Maurice Watson or Justin Patton or Marcus Foster or Kyrie Thomas or Tyshawn Alexander or Ryan Nembhard or Arthur Kaluma. I don't think that anybody said that. Good luck. But, they've had some really good players, Damian Jefferson and Mitch Ballack, and sorry, I didn't want to leave anybody out, but good luck. After those guys leave, you're in big trouble. And they've proven time and time again that it's not the end. Curious to see how Huss handles all that stuff, but clearly over the next 2 years, once again, picking the 2 years just out of thin air, they're going all in, which should excite people. And you have a hell of a staff. You have a hell of a staff right now. Think about that part of it too.
You got some extra eyes on it now, right? Like, just hey, what are you seeing? You've been a head coach. What can we do here?
So O Trips, by the way, follows up. He says, we are in win now mode. By the way, Nate said, no doubt about it, O Trips. Nate says, this is a Marcus Blossom issue. Sounds like he's out next. This is not a bad day for Creighton. This is a great day for Creighton. You hate to be losing the guy that but this is not like, oh, well, it's so bad out here and that's why Mac is leaving.
It's a mass exodus.
I don't, that is not the vibe that I get from this at all. I don't think Mac was going to coach until he was 70.
He likes to golf.
He likes to golf.
We can just say it.
I'm dead serious. I never thought that he was going to coach until he was 70. I had hoped that he would be here forever, but I don't view this as like, well, he needed to get out because he needed to get out. He needed to get away from this or something like that. That's just not how I view this situation at all. But if you view it that way, you view it that way, I guess. And if that's the case, I mean,
that's going to come up though, right? There'll be some
but I just
murmurs in the background about that, right? Like,
I don't know. With this one, I don't think so.
I would.
It's not out of nowhere.
No,
it's not. Kirsten's out of nowhere, right? So people wonder. It's not. This is not out of nowhere. Sam writes in. This is a good way to put it.
Hi, Sam.
Mac foreshadowed a normal age retirement for years. This wasn't shocking like Jay Wright or like Tony Bennett or something like that. Like, that's pretty well said. I just never thought he was going to be here until he was 90 years old and going to have.
Oh, you think we could have him for 30 more years?
40 different assistant coaches and stuff like that who have come in and stuff. Like, no, they have, and fortunately enough, like, I don't know if it's part of like quote unquote the plan, but it worked itself out this way. He built a coaching tree that is incredible, and guys have had success everywhere. So there's no shortage of options to go out there and try to get as your successor. And what he does, and this is part of the deal that we've talked about before, like he lets his coaches coach, and he gives his coaches the responsibility to come up with game plans, and he empowers those guys. I mean, he talked about Mitch this year, Ballack, who was just who was a GA, but he's like drawing up plays and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, Mitch came up with that one. He's like, okay, they're gonna run it during a game. Yeah, I trust those guys. And so I think Mac's sort of always been like that, and there's no shortage of options to choose from. So he's put himself in an advantageous position in that regard. Yeah, I mean, this is a great thing, in my opinion.
Definitely a win for the program.
Yeah. So from the text line, let's hear from the Husker side of things. Could never go.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Here's Jeff.
Jeff. Okay.
Yeah, Jeff. Jeff has a lot of text to us about how wrong we are on a daily basis.
Well, thanks for putting up with us, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Jeff says, you guys sound like Husker fans when Frost came. Slow your roll.
Do we need to do this again?
That
was a unanimously home run hire by people inside Nebraska and out. Did it bomb miserably? Yes, it did.
Yeah, but like the situation is completely different. Completely different. What was Nebraska football before Scott Frost came home?
Championship right before.
Yes, the program that he inherited.
It was in a bit of a lull.
It was a garbage can.
Well, okay.
It was a garbage can, Josh.
Typical Creighton honk.
It was coached by Mike Riley.
Remember Mike Riley?
Yes. It wasn't in a great spot. So he had to throw all of the chips on the table for Scott Frost. All in behind him. He has to single-handedly resurrect Nebraska football. Don't you think it would have been a little bit of a better situation for Scott Frost? I'm not saying that he's a great coach or anything like that, but don't you think he would have been a little bit better of a situation for Scott if he had taken a program that was, I don't know, in the middle of its most successful run it's ever had, and not just 3 years, not just 1 year. I'm talking about like 15 years straight of success, and it was just kind of turnkey, and he would have had it a little bit easier. That way he's not talking about all this crap like culture and spending his time doing all that stuff. Like, I think so. I think there's a world where Scott Frost really works, but Nebraska was not in a situation to make that happen. Creighton is.
No, nor was Scott.
No, like obviously he didn't hold up his end of the bargain, but like,
well, you have to say it.
Yeah, that's true. He obviously didn't hold up his end of the bargain, but Nebraska was in no position to have a first. It was just not in a good spot for that to work. This is, of course, in retrospect. But think about it. Like, is it easier to take over a program that has just won a whole bunch and coming off of its Tom Osborne or its, whatever, its greatest coach of all time? Like, I think so. Does the next coach, Al Huss in this case, have to still take over a job that is really, really important? And there's a lot of pressure on him and all of those other things, and still has to work hard and do all the things? Yeah. It's not easy. There's no guarantees. There is no guarantees in the coaching world. It doesn't mean it's 100% going to work. But all I'm saying, and all I've been saying throughout this entire show today, is that they put themselves in the best position. That's all. A couple texts here from the text line. John writes in, I didn't really think about this. Sneaky cool that Huss played for Dana too, right? So he's got connections to both Dana and Mac.
Oh yeah, so there's a little of the like Dana gets some love out of this too, right?
Oh. Aaron writes in.
Hi, Aaron.
Having said that, this is Nebraska ball honk. Having said that, let's send Mac out with another Husker beatdown of them and a 10-25 record. Is that okay? This is a lot like Nebraska volleyball Husker fans. A little less success, but it's a smart hire. That's what he said before. Like, don't you think even Nebraska fans would have this admission as like, God, you know what? That coach is pretty good. You would think. You would think.
He's never won a postseason tournament, Connor. Fred Hoiberg has.
Never did make it to the crown, did he?
How many Diamond Head Classics are in Greg's trophy case?
They must have won it. They won a midseason tournament or two.
That's not the Diamond Head Classic. I asked about the Diamond Head Classic.
Specifically the Diamond Head Classic.
The last Diamond Head Classic.
No, they didn't win any last Diamond Head Classics.
That's right.
No.
What say you now, Connor?
It's a great point. That's a great point. Thank you, Husker fan. Pedro writes in.
Hi, Pedro.
Hi, guys. I've never coached a college basketball team or any team whatsoever, but I am undefeated in my mind. I've won every game in the regular season and the NCAA tournament. Should I send my resume to Creighton? No, they're not looking anymore, it turns out.
Well, he's going to need some assistance, some young guys, won't Alan?
Yes. They could be young or old. Who knows? Somebody asked earlier if they thought Mac was going to be involved in the program going forward, and I apologize to whoever wrote that in. My guess would be yes, he will be a resource for the program because he loves it and he cares about it.
Okay.
Yeah. My guess would be he'd be a resource for the program going forward.
That's exciting.
How much is he around? I don't know. But once again, this is a conversation to be had, probably not at this moment. All right, let's take a phone call on the hotline. Here is Kevin. Kevin, welcome to the show. You're up. What's going on?
Hey, Connor. So you know how the Creighton coach, you would think that him being a soon to be named coach, he's going to be good, but isn't that like the coach after Osborne? I'm having a brain fart. I mean, isn't he set up
Frank
for
Solich?
like a failure? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, but isn't he set up for almost a failure? Like you're at the highlight of Creighton's program, whereas Frost was brought in to be a savior. So when he failed, there's excuses to be made. But I mean, there's no way he's going to be able to match Coach Mack. And I'll hang up there and I'll listen to you guys.
Okay, Kevin, thanks. Appreciate the call. Nebraska had come off of winning. They called it a decade of dominance, Josh. They were really good. And they
I
won
remember. I was there.
multiple national championships.
I was there.
Very, very recently, including immediately, right before Frank Solich took over. And yeah, I think that he was probably in a bit of a position to not fail, because I don't think Frank Solich failed as Nebraska's head coach. He just didn't win national championships. They got fired for not winning national championships because the athletic director thought he was smarter than everybody and then thought that his hire could get Nebraska to win national championships. There was some dysfunction there, right? Creighton hasn't, as Husker fans will point out, they haven't won any national championships. They don't win at that level. This has been a program that steadily for my entire life has just been better or as good as its expectations are. It reaches or exceeds expectations almost every year. It gets the most out of its players every year. And now, as its player profile has grown and gotten more high profile, better players over the last decade or so now, the winning and the postseason winning especially has come along. Is Huss in a position to fail? I don't really see how that's possible. I don't really see how that's possible.
It's anything's possible, right?
In a position to fail. Like, will he fail? Okay, that's possible.
Okay. I see the distinction.
Is he in a position to fail? Like, no. I mean, Creighton fans don't expect national championships. They don't, like, you want to win a national championship, but people are realistic. They understand what they are. And
20 wins.
They want to keep winning.
An NCAA tournament win, preferably 2.
Yeah, that's just a standard deal.
Yeah.
Every year now. So no, I don't think he's in a position to fail really at all.
Better position than Kyle Neptune?
Is he in a better position than Kyle Neptune to win?
It was probably a larger shadow at Villanova.
Kyle
had shown a little more in his coaching career than Allen has.
Has he? Did he?
In that, like,
he was just a head coach for more years?
Yeah, there were some cracks. Like, what's going on? You're still going to hire that guy, right? Oh, okay. Whereas Allen is like, hey, that guy's a winner.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was a head coach for 1 year.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that was a long year.
We're talking about we're talking about Neptune.
Yeah,
he was the coach for 1 year at Fordham.
That was a long year.
He went 16-16, and then they hired him at Villanova to replace Jay Wright, and he had all the talent in the world, and he was not in a position to fail. But sometimes the truth speaks for itself.
I remember him being at Fordham longer, but
yeah.
So I apologize.
Yeah, because he was an assistant for Jay.
Yeah.
So he was not in a position to fail, but it can fail. Like I said. But I don't think Al Huss is Kyle Neptune, and I don't think that everybody was super jacked about him being the successor to Jay. They were saying, if I'm to boil it down to one thing,
please do.
They were saying the program and the resources that he is given and the players that he has, that will get them in position to win. And didn't work itself out that way. They were pretty mediocre over the last 3 years with some really good players, especially that first year. Went to the NIT twice and then the college basketball crown. I guess he didn't take him to the college basketball crown. He was fired before that.
That's right.
And so ultimately, like, the truth reveals itself, and you are however good of a coach you are, and there will be a time for that for Al Huss at Creighton, whatever that time is. But I don't see that. But I'm a honk. I'm a homer honk.
Honk honk.
Yeah. All right. So if you guys have any other thoughts, we'd love to hear them. 402-951-1620. We do have to take a break here. We'll talk with Michael Bruntz, Husker 247 coming up. Done with football media availability from today, and some baseball coming up next on 1620 The Zone. All right, Michael is busy. He's busy. Apparently, they got going a little bit late this morning for Nebraska media availability. So I think they're finishing up one or two more guys here at the podium. So maybe we'll be joined by Bruntz. Maybe top of the hour, something like that.
Can I read you a quick little note from this press conference, media availability, whatever you'd like to call it, just to kind of satisfy those football urges that y'all have?
Yep.
Isaiah Hunter says he would invite Dylan Raiola to his wedding.
He would invite him to his wedding?
He would.
Well, I would hope so. I would hope that they have gained. I mean, like, I would invite you to my wedding if I was getting married right now, Josh.
I would attend.
Yeah. Was there any? Would Dylan say yes?
Good follow-up question.
Yes, this is from Mitch Sherman. Isaiah Hunter, the Cal transfer at wide receiver for Nebraska, on QB Dylan Raiola, quote, "He's a dog. He's a big cookie.
Big cookie.
He's that guy on and off the field." Hunter said Raiola was the first person to text him when he hit the portal. If Hunter got married, he said Raiola would come to his wedding, even if the quarterback was the only person to attend. Now, Josh, you wouldn't be the only person at my wedding.
I get it. You're very popular.
I just, if I were only to invite one person, this is a fake scenario, by the way. I'm only allowed to invite one person to my wedding. Does that count the bride? That, and then I would probably, I don't know. I don't know who I would invite if it was the only person I was able to invite, because then you got to either pick mom or dad. You know.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
But what an interesting scenario that he laid out there. I'm glad their relationship seems to be developing well.
That's how you know it's developing well.
As we're joined now on the phone by Michael Bruntz of Husker 247. Hello, Michael.
Patch me through. How's it going?
Yeah, we got you in there. It's good. How's everything today? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's fine. You guys just doing the one person you invite to your wedding question?
Yeah, that was an Isaiah Hunter deal. I don't know the scenario in which that exists, but I'm glad he brought it up.
Yeah, it's an interesting scenario. You gotta hope that whoever you invite that brings one hell of a gift, right?
I would hope so. Yeah, maybe that's it. You find the richest person that you know, the most giving person that you know. You invite that person, and then that's your one person.
And I mean, if it's a one person guest list, you're gonna not get crushed by an open bar too. So there's that.
That's true.
I think there's a lot of positives as long as you pick the right person.
Yeah. I mean, it would be difficult to find that, but you would be able to get to the bottom of it, considering the restrictions are pretty clear. Only one person. Before we get to more football, Bruntz, how's the pimento cheese today? Have you
flowing?
Got one going?
Flowing. Yep, got the flow going this morning with the pimento cheese early on. Just good Masters vibes. And Scotty's putting okay, so it should be a good tournament. Yeah.
You like, do you have a favorite golfer, or do you just like root for the top guys at the sport in any given year? Because that's what I do.
Yeah, Heath Tagala, I can get behind him.
Nice.
He's probably the new flavor of the day. Trying to think who else. I used to be a big Phil guy, less so after the split.
Yeah.
Then he got weird.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of always was weird, but I think who else? Gary Woodland. If he's in the field, I'll usually root for him just because of all the crap he's gone through. But that's kind of I don't have like a one guy I support. I have to say when you get into the majors, and especially the U.S. Open and the Open Championship, I tend to root for the course. Like I root for chaos.
Oh, yeah.
And
classic golf guy take.
You can't do that as much with the Masters, but that's what I root for, especially for the U.S. Open, is just dried out green.
You want carnage. You want horrible things to happen to these people so they look closer and closer like the everyday man.
Yep. I want over in Scotland, I want them having to hit,
off the road,
1-irons off the tee, stuff like that, because the wind's so bad. That's what I want.
Scheffler's 3 under, Tyrell Hatton 3 under, and we got a little Justin Rose action right now at 3 under. That's what you're missing. Do you make your own pimento cheese spread?
I've made it before. The store-bought stuff's not very good. I mean, even the stuff I make isn't great, but it's the time of year to have it. You have it once a year.
Absolutely. Yep. That's there's something about it. I got the Taste of the Masters deal last year, and it was too much food and it was too much pimento cheese spread, so I laid off this year. But I wouldn't mind one sandwich, like especially on today.
They jacked the price on that?
Dude, I mean, it was like $150. I mean, it was pretty steep. Yeah, so we laid off that one this year. Okay. Football. So we talked about the one man wedding. Anything else from practice availability that you were able to pick up today that you were interested in?
I got a little clarity from Dana on the center spot. Sounds like Justin Evans is that's not, you don't need like the breaking news sounder for that. I mean, I think we assumed that was how it was going to play out, but a little bit of confirmation that he's there with some gap between everybody else and the starting spot. I mean, that kind of shuffles the pieces a little bit because you've got to find somebody to start at left guard then. And, you've got at least options there. So that was noteworthy. A lot of running back talk because we also heard from EJ Barthel off to the side. We got to talk to Quentin Ives, who's put on 32 pounds since he's arrived at Nebraska. He's a big back, like he's not small. And so that was, we heard from him a little bit, but nothing too earth shattering today. I actually wasn't in the room for Dana, so I only caught a little bit of it, but yeah, I mean, I think they're coming right along here in spring ball.
I think true or false, the offensive line, kind of coming, like the talk before camp was kind of along the idea of, well, do we have enough offensive linemen to do this thing? And what's it going to look like in spring? And, it's an opportunity for some young guys and all of those things. But with the additions of Rocco Spindler and Elijah Pritchett and now having Evans, pretty much locked in there at center, you knew he was going to start somewhere. And now you lock him in at center. Like I find myself from maybe like day one of spring to now, there's maybe been the biggest jump in how I feel about that group with the offensive line.
Now you're asking yourself, do you have too many offensive linemen?
I like where it's at. I like where they're sitting right now.
Not bad. I watched the lines a little bit more on Tuesday for the open period than I did the first time around, and it's a good looking group. Like Pritchett looks like you would hope a big time left tackle looks like physically. The Spindler's played a ton of football. You've got kind of that, you've got your veteran guys like the Spindlers, the Pritchetts, the Evans, the Lutovskis and those guys that have been around a ton. And then you kind of have like that next group of guys where you're like, okay, what does this line maybe look like in 26? And Talmua looks like, he's put in a lot of work in the off season and kind of getting his body right. You have Grant Bricks that's working at tackle, and I think they feel really good about what he can be. And he was a guy that was going to need at least a year just because he hadn't pass blocked much at all in his background. But, he's a big recruiting win for them. They've got kind of depth all over the place right now. And it's spring and, you get to August and you kind of start really having to put a line together. You probably have a little bit less depth than what you think. But, I mean, I can't recall a time when Nebraska's had a legit two deep at almost across the board.
Yeah.
And you still don't have Teddy in there. I mean, he's in a green jersey. Lutovsky's in a green jersey. Corcoran's not practicing. So
Katula.
I mean, those are four guys that played a lot either last year or in their careers have played a lot of football. So that's a lot to kind of work with there. And I think it, speaks a little bit to the development of what they've done and also kind of, smartly adding important pieces out of the portal too.
Emmett Johnson, as you mentioned, EJ Barthel talked today. He said that Emmett Johnson's kind of at the top of his game right now. That was another position coming into spring where I'm thinking, ooh, maybe I could see a world where they go out after spring ball and they add another guy. Doesn't seem like we live in that world anymore, but based on what they've gotten from the top two or three guys in that room right now.
I don't know at any point has Matt Rule said that like we need to go get somebody
right,
running
that's
back
true.
during his time there. And I mean, obviously they went and got Dell last year, but Mekhi Nelson is interesting in a guy. I think you got to file away a little bit in the back of your mind for the fall. I mean, that there is still a job to be won behind Emmett Johnson. There's going to be carries to be had there. And, Mekhi Nelson in the open period that we've seen, he's kind of got that extra gear and that little bit of burst that, you kind of like to see at that running back spot. And they're going to ask him to do a little bit of different things, be pass catchers a little bit more than what they were at the start of last season. I think Dana kind of expanded that whenever they got into November in the bowl game. But I think that's another guy to kind of put on your mental depth chart. Because I the two times I've seen him this spring and then also the open practice last fall, he looked like a guy that, with a little bit of development could be somebody.
Bruntz, the baseball schedule it's lightening up a little bit now, although Iowa finds themselves near the top or at the top of the Big Ten Conference right now with a 12-3 record. But we've talked often about how difficult it's been for them. They take 2 out of 3 for Rutgers, and then they get the nice midweek win at Kansas. How big is this series, first of all, this weekend against a team that hasn't played much in the conference so far, but is sitting near the top?
Yeah, it's actually Nebraska's higher in the RPI right now going into the series than Iowa.
Crazy.
So that tells you kind of the difference in scheduling there. It's a big series, not only from the standpoint, the big picture standpoint of like, can you get things rolling in the right direction, over a matter of weeks here? Because I think that's kind of where this team's at. And, they've played okay baseball in stretches. The bats are now heating up significantly while the pitchers are struggling to throw strikes. So, you need to kind of put it all together here for a few weeks. And, for as great as, the win over Kansas and the series win over Oregon State, there's still work for Nebraska to do in Big Ten play. I mean, they're right on the line of making it to the Big Ten tournament. And like you said, that after this weekend, they don't play a team in the top half of the Big Ten standings the rest of the way. So there's an opportunity there, and Nebraska is just going to have to start rolling up some wins, and a little bit more better pitching on Saturdays and Sundays would help tremendously. And if you get the offense continuing to click, that's not bad. I was looking at the last 10. I think Max Butenbach is his OPS. It's like 1.6 something. Like that's just insane.
He's playing right now, man. He's playing some ball.
Yeah. So gotta get it rolling here at some point. You got the spark. You got to get some kindling on that fire.
Hey, the Big Ten. Every time I look at the standings, this is like a year in, year out thing. I just kind of get confused. I mean, obviously now that there's 100 teams in the conference, it's even more confusing, and you see all those West Coast teams at the top. But like Maryland with a 3-9 conference record is odd to me. Ohio State's been a pretty strong program. They're at the bottom of the conference right now. Indiana has been pretty good in the league, 19-14 overall, like nothing dazzling in that regard. Like, how do you look at the conference right now, especially with these West Coast teams at the top of the league kind of carrying the water for it at the moment?
Yeah, it's hard, right? Like with that many teams, I mean, you added 2 weekend series in conference, but you're still basically missing almost half the conference in your schedule. And so it's so dependent on who you play and where. I mean, even, the road trips and how that breaks down every year are going to be super fascinating to watch, because Oregon didn't play a game outside of the state of Oregon until late March. They go to Ohio State and they lose the series. Rutgers, who was an okay team, they go to Washington, they struggle there. The cross country stuff, I think, is going to be an interesting storyline for a couple of years here, and just how the scheduling kind of breaks down. The one thing the conference has is you finally got UCLA playing like UCLA baseball has in the past, which is kind of helping, raise the boats a little bit. But your Purdue started out, I think, like 17-3 or something like that, and they scheduled super easy and are struggling now. I mean, I think it's the addition of the West Coast teams has been really good, but the Big Ten, it's just with the way things are, you're just going to be so at the mercy of how the schedule is, year to year, and kind of how that breaks out. And even Nebraska, I mean, you play back-to-back road series at UCLA and USC. You're in California for 13 days.
Yeah, they got screwed on that.
Yeah, so stuff like that is always going to be really important. And the coaches had an opportunity to kind of set how they wanted to do it, and everybody wanted to do traditional weekend road series rather than a pod setup, and this is what you get. So will they change that? I don't know, but it was already this way before you added the West Coast teams, that how the schedules broke really kind of had a huge effect on things, and it's even more at a premium now.
No doubt. All right, Bruntz. Great stuff as always. Appreciate it, and enjoy those pimento cheeses the rest of the weekend.
Yep, putting it in the coffee right now.
There he goes, Michael Bruntz of Husker 247. I mean, we looked at the schedule at the beginning of the year for Nebraska baseball, and we're like, oh, well, they didn't get Oregon, like, oh, well, you didn't put your top couple teams in the conference. next to each other in a weekend series. That would have been a nice boom for the Big Ten. But then now you look at it, you pull it apart, and you're like, well, they were on the West Coast for 2 weeks in a row at UCLA. Then they played 2 with Pepperdine, and then with UCLA, with USC. USC is 9-6 in the league right now, 20-1 and 11 overall. UCLA's wiping everybody out. They're 10-2 in the league. They're 26-6 overall. They missed Oregon, and they lost 2 out of 3 to Washington at home. And that team's 8-4 in the league, and they scheduled as well. Weird conference when you look at the standings. Like if you match up the standings with the RPI, it'd be like you just shuffled the deck completely. Just be like 52 card pickup. They're just going to be in random places.
It's fun to do every once in a while.
What a weird baseball conference.
Very,
very weird.
It's never on TV.
But there is some solace, I think, for Nebraska, Josh. You've canceled them, correct?
I have.
Interestingly enough, that it really lightens up. You're playing the traditional Big Ten schools from here on out in the weekend series. Tough midweeks against KU, K-State, Creighton, and weekend series at Iowa, home against Northwestern, at Maryland, home against Minnesota, home against Michigan, at Purdue. Not that any of those schools are like easy, but they're not the West Coast schools that are at the top of the league right now.
It definitely lightens up after this week.
I could see them ripping off some wins here.
It is entirely possible.
Interesting. For a team that's already canceled, you wouldn't think that it would be entirely possible.
Well, they just kept losing to teams they shouldn't, Connor.
Yeah. And you were left with no choice.
I see L 9-11 Nebraska at Omaha. That's what it says.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll be back to round out the noon hour. Coming up next on 1620 The Zone. Here's a story for you, Josh.
I love stories.
We can still take a look at what everybody has from Nebraska football practice. And we remind you, of course, that it's been widely reported that Al Huss is back. Folks, all aboard the Huss bus.
Honk, honk.
As
I mean that as in like all aboard.
Yeah.
Not you're a honk.
Choo-choo.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's more of a train. But he'll be joining Mac's staff as the coach in waiting and as an assistant coach. Of course, Huss was the coach for the last 2 years at High Point, the head coach at High Point. As he'll be the next coach at Creighton whenever Greg McDermott decides to retire. No timetable on that reportedly yet. But here's a story for you before we get back into any of that stuff. It's Ozzie Guillen. Ozzie Guillen's always on TV, and he's always saying something. So he went on Mully and Haw on Matt McMaster's favorite radio station, 670 The Score, in Chicago on Wednesday. He hates the score.
Mully and Haw?
Yeah, come on. There's always just dudes named Mully and Haw. Haugh.
Oh, okay.
Haw. Haw. You know.
You might want to consider
There's always
like
a guy named Mully.
A lunch bunch or
You know.
something like that.
No.
instead of those names.
No, I actually love this. I actually think it's a lot better than the lunch bunch. That's way stupider. Way more stupid, I should say.
That's right.
Like, if we were, if we tried a little bit harder, we can come up with some stupid ass nicknames for us.
Definitely.
Like Fatty and Suit.
Which one am I?
Your Suit.
Okay.
Look at you. Why would you be Fatty?
I literally started the segment by eating an Uncrustable.
And we thank you for that. But he went on Mully and Haw, Mully and Haw, the guys, 670 Score on Wednesday, and made it clear that while he is now firmly in the media, he doesn't envy the daily grind of a radio host. Guillen has been on TV. He's been doing television with like for the White Sox postgame shows on TV, sitting in like a one of those lounge studio type of things where it's just like a couch and a guy. You seen those?
Oh, it's so cash.
Yeah, it's very cool. Let's go back to our couch studio. I like the Royals. They do it still at the ballpark.
Yeah.
And they have like a set.
So do the Braves.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We don't need to go back to the studio with the guys on the couch. Well, I like my guys to be at the game. So he's been doing a lot of that stuff. And he said this, real good radio people do their job every day. And it's something that's not easy for that many years. I was talking with Ozzie Guillen Jr. yesterday when we jumped in the car. I said, bro, how do these guys prepare themselves every day to put up with fans like me who listen to them every day? It's not easy. To me, it's easy to go manage every day. He was a manager of Major League Baseball for a while, and a successful one. It's easy to go manage every day because every day is going to be different. Every day they got to wake up early and go to work. Yet you have people criticizing you. You have people agree with you. You got people who think they're smarter than you. This is just crazy, man. I tip my hat to you guys because working that day in and day out is not easy. Thank you, my king, Ozzie Guillen.
Finally, someone said it.
It's about time that somebody said it, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, so I was thinking about this morning when I saw this story. If you dropped someone who had done neither, they had neither managed a Major League Baseball game, but knew about sports.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Let's just say it's like a listener of our show. Yeah, but let's just say it's like, who's in here today? Charles. We've taken Charles or Douglas. That takes Doug. We've taken either of these people and we have made them become a Major League manager for a day. And then they had a sports talk show for a day. They just hosted this show for a day or O-Trips. Which do you think would go worse?
Which do I think would go worse?
Which do you think would go worse for them? Do you understand the question?
I do. I
Okay.
do. I'm thinking about it.
It's hard.
I would say probably sports radio.
I think
right?
it would probably the radio show.
Because managing a baseball team, there's a lot of cover there, right? Like
I could get out, and this is probably classic overconfidence Happer again. Welcome. If you're new to this show, this is kind of what I do sometimes. But like if I was the manager for the Chicago White Sox for a day, we'd probably lose, but that's not unlike any other day.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're used to it.
It would probably, like, I might make a managerial error, but I'm surrounded by people who, who are doing their jobs, and I got Major League Baseball players, and maybe
second baseman knows what he's supposed to do every day.
Maybe my guys run into something, and we grab one. You know, maybe they should make a little big league, but it's sports radio. Instead of Billy Haywood owns and manages the Twins,
a 12-year-old radio prodigy.
He starts going. He has a radio show. Now that's a movie, Josh.
I bought these gummy worms the other day, and they tasted like butt.
Have you ever seen those kids on TikTok who do the food reviews, but they all say they don't like toppings on their pizza? Because they're kids. Have you seen these guys?
No.
They're incredible.
Cheese is the superior pizza topping.
No, they're like, they went around the table. There's like 6 of them. They're like, what's your favorite topping on a pizza? They're like, probably cheese. And then the next guy goes, well, I think cheese. And then the next guy goes, yeah, cheese. Sometimes pepperoni. I don't mind pepperoni. And then the next guy's like, yeah, cheese.
Oh no!
They don't put it. I don't think that's like a horrible take, but it's clear that they had nothing else on their pizza ever.
Yeah.
They had never eaten food of any kind.
You are
outside
a
of cheese pizza, exactly. So, yes, Black Cat, the MD Foodie Boy.
Oh, that's the name of the group, the posse.
Yeah, you got to check these guys out.
Okay,
they're incredible. So I think put the kids on Sports Talk Radio for a day and just see how it goes.
That would be a funny movie. He gets called into the PD's office.
Yeah.
Some stations have PDs, and you'd like.
In this case, you're going into the Josh Suit office.
That's right.
Yeah.
WNBC.
Blackhead says O-Trips manages the Pirates or is a radio show host, and then says, well, if he's the Pirates manager, he just starts Paul Skeens for 10 consecutive days.
That's right.
But then he's out. Like, what if you're the manager of the Pirates for a week? Would your record be that much worse than Derek Shelton's?
I don't.
If you were the manager of the Royals for a week, how much worse would you be than Matt Quatraro for 1 week?
It couldn't be that much worse,
It
right?
could. There's no way it brings that much value over that short a period of time. Over a long period of time, of course. You have to manage people. You have to manage the guys. You have to understand your team. Like, there is absolutely a lot of value to a great major league manager
for a week,
but not for a week. Right?
Yeah. I'll tell you, if O-Trips was the manager of the Pirates, they never would have put that ad up over on the outfield
Roberto
wall.
Clemente.
Yeah, never would have happened with O-Trips in charge.
No chance. No chance. Just saying. Ozzie Guillen out there speaking the truth. Thank you, Ozzie. Thank you for coming to our side.
Now, over the course of a season, yes, there are a lot of managerial decisions.
Mm-hmm. Those people add impact.
Yeah.
Those people add impact. That's why sometimes coaches get fired at the end of seasons, and when there's like a week left in the season, and they're like, these guys just are not really responding to this guy anymore. So we have to fire. Basically, what the Nuggets did to Mike Malone the other day was what happened to Ned Yost with the Brewers in like 2010. They were a playoff team. They were going to the playoff. A week left in the season. See ya.
Goodbye.
We think we could get something out of this group. Tells you the effect that a manager might be able to have. All right, we'll be back. 1 o'clock hour is coming up. Still want to hear from you guys. And I also have a reminder for you all as well. I should have reminded you about this earlier, and that is that the zone deal this week is to Backlot Tap House, Omaha's place for the best Detroit-style pizza. Also, sweeten the pot, 30 beers on tap. 30 beers, Josh.
30
Think about
beers.
30 beers and them all being on tap. It's a great place to relax with friends with pizza and beer. And you can get more than just cheese on your pizza. Or if you want to get cheese pizza, that's also fine. Tomorrow morning at 9, $50 worth of gift certificates for just $25. Or you can listen to The Morning Show for your chance to win for $0. Once again, tomorrow morning at 9, 1620thezone.com.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
Have you seen the guy who's playing in the Masters with the upside down letters hat?
Oh, no, really?
Yeah.
I have not. Every time I turn my head up to the golf, they're interviewing someone instead of showing golf.
Well, that's why we turn it to baseball. Baseball, there's notoriously always action going on.
That's right.
But no, Josh, you haven't seen him, but now you have.
Of course it's an Arizona State hat.
There he is. That is, apologize if I screwed this up. Yoseli Ballester, potentially.
Nailed it.
He's Spanish. He's from Spain. And he plays golf, or he either he plays golf or is the coach, maybe at Arizona State, whatever.
Whoa.
He is playing in the Masters, and he is wearing an upside down Sun Devils hat. You want to look this guy up? I don't know the story. Yoseli Ballester, golf.
It's a good name. Strong.
He's 4 over at the moment. No, he's an amateur. He's not the coach, so he must play at Arizona State.
All right.
Yes. So there you go. He's got the upside down hat, and he has not been removed, to my knowledge, of the Masters. His play might be doing the removing, but it's hard, Josh. It's hard to win. It's hard to shoot over par or under par at the Masters.
It's harder than being a sports radio
Although,
host.
didn't that one guy, Michael Block, do it that one year? Remember Michael Block?
I do not.
So he got really famous because it was at the PGA. And he was going to win, or he almost won. And then he has now kind of been just in and around the tour over the last couple of years. And he's one of those guys who wears the hats that say the big letters on them, but they're not upside down, they're right side up. Like it says like raw or something like that. I'm like, why are you doing
Why does your
this?
hat say that?
Yeah, the golf people don't like that Michael Block guy anymore. And I don't think the golf people like this guy probably either.
Oh, are they out on?
But I don't know. I don't think that the golf people would like the upside down letters hats.
I would think
because all the golfers are going to get asked about this. They're going to be like, "What do you think about the guy, the amateur wearing the upside down letters hats?" And then they're going to be like, the golfers are going to say, "Hey, you ever think that there might be a reason that we don't talk to you guys very often?"
Because you ask stuff like this,
stupid bleep like that. And that would be a fair point, to be completely honest with you. That would be a fair point in that situation. So there you go. We have our first upside down letters hat at the Masters. Welcome to 2025.
now you can sport yours all weekend long and be like, "Hey, I saw a guy at the Masters do it."
No, I mean, I wasn't afraid to wear it. I've been pretty outspoken about the upside down letters hat. I don't mind it. I don't have a problem with it. All the olds have a problem with it.
Yeah, many have said it makes you look younger.
They have?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Makes you look not like a child, but like, oh, is this a college kid hanging out with us?
Aaron writes in. He's got an old man take.
Hi, Aaron.
Spanish and upside down hat, a worse version of crap Sergio and his crap attitude. Upside down hat, insert into my top 5 disliked golfers already.
Wow, immediately to the top 5?
Yep. Immediately straight inside that top 5 of the worst guys on tour.
Look,
for Aaron right away.
I don't like the hat, but I will forget that human exists in about 180 seconds from now.
It's possible that it's possible that he ends up being like Michael Block, and then we have to think about him.
You asked me if I remember Michael Block, and I said no.
Josh, I'm not saying that you know Michael Block, but people know Michael Block.
Okay.
People know Michael Block. I can hear him typing out that poll question.
Who is Michael Block?
Just look for the picture where the golf hat, the guy who says raw.
It says raw on his hat.
It's weird.
Why does it say
those
that?
Those hats I don't understand. Why are the letters so big?
How Michael Block became the PGA king.
Yeah, that's
as told by those who know him best.
I don't think that is accurate.
This is from May of 2023.
Yeah, he like made a run at the PGA championship. I wouldn't call him the king. Would not call him the king.
Let's see the publication here. Golf.com called him the king.
The king?
How Michael Block became the PGA king.
Like Elvis?
Well, it didn't end well for Elvis.
It's true. I don't think it ended well for Michael Block either. I mean, he's still alive, but I don't think he's really
good.
I don't I guess you get an exemption for a certain amount of time for competing well at a major like that. Anyway, should we? Well, have we juiced out the Creighton thing on our show? We could talk.
Boy,
you're saying yes. You're thinking yes.
Unless you have a new.
Well, here's the angle. Here's the angle that we could talk about for 10 seconds.
Okay.
What a week.
What a week.
What a week for Creighton.
You've cemented.
You have coaching, but like think about, obviously, yes, your future. You feel secure in your future going forward. No guarantees, but you feel secure in your future. Mac was in his 15th year this year, and so but he'll have 16 or 17 or 18, and then that will be it. And we're talking about multiple decades long head coaches, a head coach who brings you into the next era, brings you into the Big East Conference. Kirsten Bernthal Booth retires or steps away. Resigns from her position at the end on Sunday evening, and she's the one who basically built Creighton volleyball like alone. I guess not alone, but kind of all the same things. Moving into the Big East, creating a national power, things like that. And to add on to the state of flux that you have with the coaches right now is you have another coach in waiting sitting in the dugout on the baseball team as well. And Ed Service transitions out this year for baseball. I mean, so what a crazy week and what a time for change. But I can't say that I dislike where Creighton ended up on any of them, to be honest with you. Not that I would not that you would look at the higher end and be like, oh, this sucks. I don't. There's very rare situations where that would happen. But I like how they sort of approached. I think the baseball one is difficult. But I really come to know the new staff and then Ed as well. And I think those guys are going to have success, and I think they're going to win under Mark Kingston next year and beyond. And got to know Brian a little bit over the last couple of years with volleyball. I think that he's got. I mean, they're in a great position, first of all, and I think that they're going to win. And then with us, whenever that happens, you're in a good position there as well. So, it's been a transformational time in the history of Creighton athletics with a bunch of coaches who have been around for a very, very, very long time, and are now either phasing out or out entirely.
You like the transitions you've made, for sure.
I do. Yes, I do. I don't know that everyone's going crazy over it or whatever, but I do like what they've done.
I like that you don't have the long drawn out coaching search.
Yes,
that gets annoying.
That is when that's a good point, Josh, because that's when the opportunities for disaster really start coming into play.
Yeah.
Just ask Steve Peterson in 2004.
We had to get somebody.
That was a nightmare.
Who'd you want?
That was a total nightmare. And they went through a billion different people, and it was 40 days. And it was like, who wants to actually coach here for this guy? And the answer turned out to be nobody except for Bill Callahan. And that was a transition that was awkward and weird and probably wasn't vetted particularly well, and all of those things. You've got
a beautiful son.
He's got a beautiful son.
Mm-hmm. Son.
Who does?
Bill Callahan.
Oh yeah, he's the coach of the Titans.
That's right, Connor. Bill's on the staff.
There you go. I almost forgot about that.
None of this would have happened if it weren't for Steve Peterson.
Tom writes in on Twitter.
Hi, Tom.
Did you say that the next Creighton baseball coach is Mark Langston, the old Mariners pitcher? No, well, I might have, but that's not what I meant to say if I said that. It is Mark Kingston, the former South Carolina head coach as of last year. He is in the dugout right now with Creighton and will be the head coach beginning next year.
You get to chat. You get to chat with him at all?
Yeah. I've gotten to know him.
Okay.
Relatively well over the last couple months.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they have a pretty good sense of where they want to go with it for sure.
Good.
Yeah. So let's take a break here. We can come back and talk about the SEC being canceled in football. Will Josh cancel the SEC?
Oh, I'd love to.
That and more as we return on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. I saw this article last night, and I clicked it. I clicked it so hard.
Would Mike Schaefer click the link, though?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I think you would. It's from Brandon Marcello. Why would Mike Schaefer click? Because it's on his own parent company's website, cbssports.com.
There you go.
Here's the headline, Josh. Pressure slightly mounts on SEC football amid CFP title game drought as league conquers basketball world.
That's a long headline.
Yes, some people still know how business is done. So he goes through, obviously, the recent success in basketball has been pretty staggering for the Southeastern Conference, getting 14 teams in the NCAA tournament.
14, Connor.
Winning the national championship. And there's been an emergence of several programs really over the last couple of years. You know, Alabama has been a consistent player at the top of the game now with the coaching hire that they made. Auburn, now Florida, you throw them into the mix on top of the teams that have been good, have generally stayed good in basketball in the SEC. Marcellus says the landscape has shifted because of NIL collectives. The richest boosters reside in the North, not the South. And the Big Ten has proven to have the deepest pockets, drawing talent away from the likes of Alabama to build dream team rosters capable of winning titles year after year. The question is whether that is sustainable now that revenue sharing is entering the chat. Some contemplate parity could be in play for the first time in the modern era as the playing field levels, with the $20.5 million salary cap and NIL transitioning from hardly disguised play-for-play schemes into a proper marketing arm, providing payments reflecting something that are more akin to a fair market value. I'm still skeptical of that. Perhaps the days of one conference claiming a decade of dominance over another are over because of the new rev sharing model. The SEC had its run in the 2010s, winning 5 national titles in 6 years. The Big Ten's 2-year reign might also only be a blip. We'll see. Still, in this new age, it's clear that the SEC is a period of transition. Leadership needs to pivot. The conference needs some life.
Wow, the conference is dead.
The conference is dead. That's right. The SEC has died. And so I was thinking about like oftentimes I just think this is all really discernible on who the coaches are at the individual schools. And I know we have gigantic mega conferences at this moment. So it's,
hard to keep track of.
It's hard to keep track, but it's also, there's just a lot of them and they're at a lot of different places. Right. And so what in the world, where did my list go? You look at the Big Ten coaches and you think about the guys who are sort of at the top of the league, and you go with, and this is in no order because for some reason my list is gone. You go like Ryan Day, and you go to, Lanning at Oregon, and, whatever happens at, Sharon Moore at Michigan. I don't think you'd throw him into the conversation, but that's a place, right? But they've hired coaches successfully over the last couple of years. The Big Ten Conference has, and we'll see what happens. Like in a place like Iowa, Wisconsin's in a state of flux at the moment. Minnesota seems to always get the most out of the roster that they have. Like I just think you look up and down the league and you say that the Big Ten might be one of the, if not the best coached league in the country. And so then I think about the SEC, and obviously there's Kirby, and there's like Lane Kiffin, and there's Sark. And then I don't know, you tell me what you think of this group. Like Kalen DeBoer is really highly thought of. So throw him into the top group. But then you're sitting there with Venables. What's going to happen in Oklahoma? Elko.
Doesn't seem good.
What's going to happen at Texas A&M?
Well, he keeps talking. He's going to get removed.
Brian Kelly's really good. but are they going to win enough to keep him around? Beamer's an up-and-comer. Billy Napier, what's going to happen there? I think they hired Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State. Sam Pittman out at Arkansas. Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. This is how I tend to think about the individual leagues, and I look at them from top to bottom, and I'm like, whoa, is there any breaks in there whatsoever? Is there any breaks in the SEC, and is there any breaks in the Big Ten? And once again, try to remove the program from it and just think about the coaches, because that's the way I think about it. And I would say that the Big Ten looks to be maybe in better position in that regard for the coaches that are going to or they're there right now, and B, stick around for a little while as well. And so that's sort of that's the way I went with it. And I wonder if there's no way that the SEC is looking at itself right now and, as a conference, and nobody really does this from a conference wide perspective, because everybody's thinking about how do I get myself to be better and the best that I possibly can. But the conference perception obviously matters. We saw it in basketball. The conference perception really did matter. They won a lot of, the SEC won a lot of games in the non-conference, and they took care of business, and the conference perception absolutely mattered. And there you saw, a bunch of one seeds and a bunch of teams that ended up in the Final Four from the SEC. So I don't know that the conference looks around and, as if the conference was a living, breathing, being.
It is.
And they're like, oh, do we have a problem here? Is the Big Ten kind of coming for us a little bit? And then what does that mean for the two conferences, sort of the relationship together as well? How comfortable is the Big Ten continuing to do its thing and being adversarial with the SEC? And how comfortable is the SEC, whatever position you view these conferences in? Are we adversarial with the Big Ten? Are we attacking the Big Ten? Are we trying to, equal them? We're trying to be better than them. Obviously, there's an element to all of that exists.
Well, they're still going to get their 4 in the playoff, theoretically. We ever going to do that? We ever going to finalize that?
That wouldn't be a this year thing anyway.
Okay.
So
sure,
that's probably an over the summer or into the fall type of deal. But I wonder if something like this, and the conferences, one of the conferences going on some sort of run, in a national championship regard, the northern teams being the better teams or whatever it might be. I wonder if that affects the relationship that the conferences have with each other, and they just start to kind of, I don't know, pack it in and say, no, we don't really need to be adversarial with each other. We could pull this thing together and make it work. You've already seen a little bit of that. So I don't know that, it was interesting because it's really the first I'd heard of the narrative of the SEC, the pressure is really building on them because the Big Ten has won, 2 conference titles in a row, and then or 2 national titles in a row. And then I kind of started to think about it. Marcelo writes, football is not in the dumps, but the conference is at a potential turning point. How it navigates the next few years is paramount to whether the conference can again supplant the Big Ten as the kings of the sport. At least publicly, the SEC is more focused on expanding the CFP to 14 teams and giving the SEC more automatic bids than it has on renovating its own house. SEC football could be best served by focusing on itself rather than trying to fix a complex national system to mirror its image. And I just never really heard, I never really heard that sentiment before. And I never really heard that kind of idea. So something to sort of keep an eye on. And as I was reading through that this morning, another thing that I was reading this morning, Josh.
Wow, you read so much.
Well, there's not a lot to talk about right now. So you just read. I guess I was reading all these things last night. This one actually was this morning from Scott Doctorman, friend of the show. He wonders, as college football spring scrimmages change, would preseason games be better? And guess who he asked if this was a good idea to? Kirk Ferentz.
Oh, Kirk.
Doctorman writes, if spring scrimmages are up for future discussion, what if the oversight committee also considered other types of events in the future, such as preseason football games? As long as it didn't count, I'd be all for it, Kirk Ferentz said. It's kind of like NFL preseason games that don't count against your win-loss record, but it gives you a chance to get guys in-game experience in different situations. And he commented, kind of further on the idea, and the idea that it would be a revenue generator. So this idea is clearly floating around in the correct spheres here. As you put it all together and you start to say, well, okay, here we go. It could make sense from a revenue perspective. The coaches seem to like it. So the TV networks, because of the revenue, like it. The schools like it because of the revenue.
Check.
The fans like it because it's an opportunity for them to go to games without the pressure. It sort of replaces a spring game. Yeah, you got it, Josh. You're checking a lot of boxes there. Doesn't this seem like the kind of idea that it's just like, this feels like it's definitely coming? Like who opposes this? Who's against it? If you don't
right now, nobody.
If you're worried about like why they're worried about adding an extra game in the NFL is like player safety and stuff like that. But what you could do here is you get a test trial to run through in front of fans and on TV your game day operation, right? How many people are on the sideline? What do we do? What's everybody's job? And like, not that you shouldn't know that before you run out on the field for the first time, and I'm sure many teams obviously do, but it's good to have a run through. We know how coaches are control freaks, and they like everything to kind of be how they imagined it and stuff like that. I just don't see I don't see who says no. I don't say no. And I say no to everything. I hate change.
You do. God, you hate it.
But preseason football game, I mean, when Deion threw out the idea of the joint practices or the exhibition game in the spring, like, I'm not against that either. I'm good with that. So why not do it in the fall when you're a little bit more prepared and you're a little bit more ready? Like, what's the difference between that and doing a basketball exhibition? Nebraska's going to play BYU next year. It's like a top 5, maybe like a preseason top 10 team in the country with all the talent they have because they have that really rich guy who's just giving money to their program.
Oh yeah.
And also he owns the hockey club.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. He's just giving them all the money in the entire world. So they're going to be a really good team next year. You're bringing them in, and you're going to go out there the year after that. And so I think the worry from a narrative perspective or from like coach's perspective is like, yeah, I don't want people to think too much about it and care too much about it. Trust me when I tell you they won't. Creighton played Purdue in an exhibition game this year.
Yeah.
We didn't really, unless you're a real sicko, I don't think you really referenced that throughout the year.
No.
We knew at the time that those were two pretty good teams. They ended up being two pretty good teams.
I saw it sort of posited that this could be hey, why don't we ever play those drivable games? And like, why doesn't Iowa State ever come here?
Great point.
Yeah, like, you're not going to, hey, let's go to Gainesville and play a preseason game. Like, I don't think you're going to put that much effort into it.
Maybe not, but like, obviously we take everything extra in college football. So maybe it grows into like a showcase thing eventually. Like maybe that is the drawback because we love edges in college football and we'd love to say, well, how do we make this better? And how do we make this different? Like eventually it would just turn into a regular season game. Why don't we just make that a regular season game? People will be asking.
That's what the NFL did, right?
Yeah. Now, in that case, they'll need a governing body and things like that and all of those deals. But I don't have a problem with this.
I hear Trev's looking for a way out, so maybe he can start that governing body.
There you go. He's trying to be the commissioner. Jeff writes in.
Hi, Jeff.
As long as the portal exists, I don't think it happens. Guys, I think what Jeff is referencing is what Rule said about the spring game.
Yeah.
And
Your guy looked good in that preseason game against Iowa State. I'd like to steal him.
I just think that is. I think you're reading too much into that. Like, I think people are reading too much into that. I don't think
Matt Rule said it.
Yeah, but like obviously people are going to get calls after they play games. And I think Hoiberg made some reference to guys getting calls. Or who said that? Maybe it was Hoiberg. But made some reference to like, hey, you want to, you're in the college basketball crown. They won a game and a couple people watched it, and they got a call. Hey, if you ever need anything, I'm the guy at Washington State. Hit me up. You can be in our starting lineup. Whatever it is. I think he made some reference to that the other day. And so, yes, coaches are wary about this and they're guarded about it, but I just don't think you can. I just don't think you could operate in your life always being worried about like you're trying to shield everybody from all this stuff. And I know coaches do that all the time. I also don't think when Rule said that, he meant it to be like, this is the only thing, So this is why we're not doing our spring game.
The lone reason. Here it is.
Yeah. I don't think he meant it that way. That's just my reading of the situation. So I disagree. Like I think if coaches see a revenue opportunity, athletic directors see a revenue opportunity, TV networks see an opportunity to put some more stuff on TV. There ain't nothing on TV in August.
Can confirm.
Ain't nothing on TV in August, Josh. You throw one game for everybody and you match somebody up with a local whatever, people are going to watch it more than whatever the heck else is going on. That's for sure. So I don't know. I think coaches would even come around on this idea. That's my thought.
I think you could get a lot of people on board with it for sure.
Yep. All right. Let's take a break. We got the polls. We'll tell you what to watch next on 1620 The Zone. All right, one final update from the Masters. At the moment, we have 3 golfers at 4 under. Corey Connors, Tyrell Hatton, and Justin Rose.
Justin Rose. I know that name.
Okay. All right. Good. Corey Connors finished birdie, par, birdie on 15 through 18. So that got him to 4 under, only 1 bogey on the day for the Canadian, Josh.
Oh,
Corey Connors. All right, to the poll questions today. We had one from yesterday afternoon's crossover. Are Reese's eggs better than Reese's peanut butter cups? Absolutely not.
I got to go yes here.
That's a bad take. 63% agree with you. That makes sense. Most of the public are idiots.
Wow.
Would you Lady and the Tramp a hot dog on a date? No. With
no.
nobody under no circumstances.
No.
54% say no.
That's not enough.
Would you Lady and the Tramp a hot dog with a stranger with a partner at home? That's very confusing, but no, definitely not.
No.
Even a harder no.
Right.
88% say no.
88.
And that's it. Those are the poll questions. Josh, what are we watching
There's
tonight?
a lot of hot dog centric poll questions today. We are watching Major League Baseball, just a 5-game slate today. MLB TV free game of the day going on right now. Angels all over the Rays at the Ray J. Joe Adell hit 2 home runs in the 5th inning alone.
It's not at the Ray J. It's across the street from the Ray J.
Across the street from the Ray J. Well, I'm calling it the Ray J now. Blue Jays Red Sox underway on MLB Network at 3:00. And then Phillies Braves at 6:00 tonight on MLB Network. Schwelly on the bump for the Bravos. In the NBA tonight is the final regular season edition of Thursday Night Inside the NBA, and they're going to celebrate.
Yeah, what's up with this?
Even though there's months and months of playoff coverage to come, there will be a documentary celebration clip show, something like that, at 5:00 on TNT, followed by Cavs Pacers at 6, and then Wolves Grizzlies at 8:30. Both those two teams in that 3 to 8 seed log jam in the West. Just 2.5 games separate those 5-6 teams.
There's a log jam.
There is. Hockey's Frozen 4 is tonight on ESPN2. I guess this afternoon, really. Denver and Western Michigan hook up at 4, followed by Penn State and Boston University at 7:30. There is Masters coverage, I'm told, going on all day on ESPN, although, again, every time I look up, they're interviewing someone and not showing any golf.
Yeah, I always forget how they do it, like 2:00 or somewhere around there. It actually goes away, and then they just do like live from the Masters or something like that. It's all, honestly, for the Masters on the non-Sunday, or I guess non-weekend, like today and tomorrow, I will just go to ESPN Plus because it has everything, or Masters.com, because you could pick holes, you could pick people, they make it pretty dynamic on the internet, and then you're not beholden to weird interviews with random people on television.
Are they streaming on Facebook? Have they thought of that?
They should consider it.
Volleyball, the Love quarterfinals tonight. I know playoffs already in the League One volleyball. Omaha against Madison, 6:00 on ESPN Plus. It's taking place at the Yum Center in Louisville, Kentucky. The Pit finale is on Max tonight, and no, that is not a documentary about the Crossroads redevelopment. It's a show about a hospital.
Good one, Josh.
And for the first time in nearly 2 years, Black Mirror returns to Netflix for season 7. Kristen Milotti returns in a sequel to USS Callister. I don't know what any of that means.
The mother.
Yes. While Will Poulter reprises his Bandersnatch role. Again, I don't know what that means, but I know who Will Poulter is.
Sounds cool.
You guys are getting paid for this?
Josh, thanks.
Thank you, Connor.
That's what we're watching. That's the show. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. Crossover coming up next.